The pain does not begin with a bite or a chase or even a visible threat. It begins with weight. A single careless step presses downward into what appears to be nothing more than dead coral and scattered rubble. And in that instant, the seafloor itself responds, not with movement, but with consequence. Beneath the pressure, a series of dorsal spines, rigid, hollow, and primed, are forced upright by the exact force meant to stabilize the body above them. It is not an attack. It is a mechanical reply. Venom, stored under tension within glandular sheaths, is injected with surgical efficiency, driven not by intention, but by physics. The organism beneath the foot does not chase, does not strike, does not even reveal itself. And yet, in a fraction of a second, it has delivered one of the most potent defensive payloads in the marine world. This is not a predator acting within an environment. This is the environment acting through a predator. The creature responsible for this transformation is almost impossible to isolate from its surroundings, not because it is small or hidden, but because it has erased the boundary between organism and landscape. The stonefish exists not as a distinct body placed upon the reef, but as a continuation of it. Its dermal surface is not smooth or uniform, but ruptured into irregular nodules and protrusions that replicate the fractal geometry of coral rock. These structures are not merely visual mimicry. They disrupt light in the same way that dead substrate does, scattering incoming rays into chaotic patterns that eliminate recognizable contours. There is no outline to detect, no symmetry for the eye to resolve. Even at close range, the brain fails to categorize it as alive. Over time, the illusion deepens. Algae colonize the skin, forming a living veneer that further integrates the fish into the microbial ecosystem of the reef floor. Sessile organisms attach themselves to its surface, treating it as stable ground rather than a mobile host. This is not accidental. The stonefish's metabolic rate is among the lowest of active marine predators, allowing it to remain motionless for extended periods without compromising survival. Movement is minimized not only to conserve energy, but to maintain ecological credibility. In a habitat where even slight disturbances can signal danger, stillness becomes a form of invisibility more powerful than any coloration. Yet this stillness is not passive. Beneath the apparent lifelessness lies a highly specialized sensory system tuned to detect minute fluctuations in pressure and water displacement. Lateral line canals, embedded along the body, register the faintest vibrations produced by approaching organisms. These signals do not trigger pursuit. Instead, they calibrate readiness. The stonefish does not need to move toward prey because prey, navigating the reef in search of food or shelter, inevitably moves toward it. The entire strategy is built on the predictability of others. When a small fish ventures too close, the stonefish does not lunge in the conventional sense. Its strike is a rapid expansion of the buccal cavity, creating a localized vacuum that pulls water and the organism within it directly into its mouth. This suction feeding mechanism operates on timescales measured in milliseconds, faster than the neural response time of most prey species. But even this predatory act is secondary to its primary function. The stonefish's most profound adaptation is not how it feeds, but how it defends. The dorsal spines, often mistaken as purely offensive weapons, are in fact part of a pressure-activated system that redefines the relationship between organism and threat. Each spine is connected to a venom gland encased within a sheath of integumentary tissue. Under normal conditions, the spines lie flat against the body, concealed within the irregular topography of the skin. They are not raised in anticipation, nor are they deployed through muscular action. Instead, they are activated by external force. When pressure is applied, such as the weight of a foot or the body of a predator attempting to consume it, the spines are driven downward, piercing the sheath and allowing venom to flow through grooves into the puncture wound. This mechanism is brutally efficient because it removes the need for timing or accuracy. There is no decision-making process, no neural delay. The system operates purely on mechanical input. If pressure is applied, venom is delivered. The stonefish does not need to perceive the threat as dangerous. It does not need to aim. It simply exists as a conditional hazard embedded within the substrate. The reef floor, in this context, is no longer a passive surface, but an active field of potential consequences. The venom itself is a complex cocktail of proteins and enzymes designed to disrupt multiple physiological systems simultaneously. Hemolytic components break down red blood cells, impairing oxygen transport. Neurotoxins interfere with ion channels, disrupting nerve signal transmission and causing intense pain, muscle paralysis, and in severe cases, systemic collapse. Cardiovascular effects can include arrhythmias and hypertension as the body struggles to maintain homeostasis under chemical assault. The intensity of the pain is not incidental. It serves as an immediate deterrent, ensuring that any organism capable of learning will associate the substrate with danger. And yet the stonefish does not rely on this venom to hunt. It is not an aggressive predator seeking to dominate its environment through force. Instead, it occupies a niche defined by absence. Absence of movement, absence of visibility, absence of interaction until interaction is forced upon it. This is where the narrative shifts. The stonefish is often described as a master of camouflage, a hidden killer waiting to strike. But this framing misunderstands its role. It is not hiding from the environment. It is becoming it. This transformation has profound ecological implications. By blending so completely into the reef floor, the stonefish alters the behavior of other organisms within its vicinity. Areas it occupies become zones of heightened risk, even if that risk is not consciously perceived. Prey species that survive encounters with stonefish or with similar ambush predators may exhibit altered movement patterns, avoiding certain textures or structures within the reef. This creates microhabitats defined not by physical barriers, but by invisible gradients of danger. In this sense, the stonefish participates in a form of ecosystem engineering, not through construction or destruction, but through the manipulation of perception and behavior. Its presence influences the distribution of prey, which in turn affects the feeding patterns of other predators. The reef becomes a dynamic landscape shaped as much by hidden threats as by visible structures. The true reversal, however, lies in the realization that the stonefish is not the apex of this system. Its strategy, while effective against many threats, is not invulnerable. Certain predators have evolved mechanisms to bypass or withstand its defenses. Some species of sharks and rays, equipped with tough dermal layers or specialized feeding techniques, can consume stonefish without triggering the full impact of its venom. Others may flip or manipulate the fish to avoid the spines altogether. In these interactions, the stonefish's greatest strength, its reliance on passive defense, becomes a limitation. It cannot adapt its response in real time. It cannot escalate or retreat. It can only remain what it is, a hazard waiting to be activated. This limitation reveals a deeper truth about its evolutionary path. The stonefish has traded flexibility for certainty. By embedding its defense within the physics of pressure and the chemistry of venom, it has eliminated the need for complex behavioral responses. But in doing so, it has also constrained itself to a narrow set of conditions under which it can survive. It thrives in environments where unpredictability is low, where the movements of other organisms follow patterns that can be anticipated. In more chaotic systems, where threats approach from unexpected angles or with novel strategies, its rigidity becomes a vulnerability. Despite this, the stonefish remains one of the most successful embodiments of a particular evolutionary philosophy. That the most effective way to survive is not to outcompete or outmaneuver, but to disappear so completely that interaction itself becomes the exception rather than the rule. It does not dominate the reef through speed or strength. It redefines the rules of engagement, turning every step, every touch, into a potential trigger. For humans, this redefinition is particularly dangerous because it exploits a fundamental assumption that the ground beneath us is inert. In terrestrial environments, this assumption is rarely challenged. But in the marine world, where life permeates every surface, it becomes a liability. The stonefish capitalizes on this disconnect, existing at the intersection of expectation and reality. It does not need to seek out humans or defend territory aggressively. It simply waits, embedded within a landscape that invites contact. The result is a paradox. The most dangerous aspect of the stonefish is not its venom, nor its camouflage, but the way it transforms a neutral environment into an active threat without any visible sign. It is not the presence of the animal that causes harm, but the absence of awareness. The reef, in this context, is no longer a backdrop for life, but a participant in it, capable of delivering consequences through organisms that have relinquished individuality in favor of integration. And so the seafloor becomes something else entirely. Not a surface to be crossed, but a field of latent reactions, where every point of contact carries the potential for transformation. The stonefish does not announce itself, does not warn or pursue. It simply exists, indistinguishable from the world around it, until the moment that world pushes back.
The sand explodes upward before the danger is even understood. A soft, pale seabed, flat, harmless, empty, suddenly fractures into motion as a hidden body beneath it reacts with violent precision. A tail, previously invisible, whips upward in a tight arc, accelerating through the water with enough force to drive a serrated spine forward like a spring-loaded blade. There is no warning, no visible build-up, only the sudden conversion of stillness into impact. The disturbance that triggered it, a careless step, a drifting shadow, a misplaced hand, was not interpreted as prey or predator. It was interpreted as pressure, and pressure, in this system, demands response. The strike is not an act of aggression. It is a reflex encoded into anatomy, a defensive mechanism that transforms the illusion of empty space into a concealed boundary. The ocean floor here is not passive terrain. It is occupied ground that does not announce itself. Beneath that thin layer of sediment lies a body engineered to disappear not by matching the environment, but by becoming structurally inseparable from it. The stingray's form is flattened to an extreme, its pectoral fins expanded into broad wing-like discs that press seamlessly against the substrate. This morphology does more than reduce profile. It allows the animal to manipulate the very material that hides it. Through subtle undulations of its body, the stingray generates localized water currents that lift and suspend fine grains of sand, guiding them across its dorsal surface until it is fully buried. This behavior is not random. It exploits the fluid dynamics of shallow coastal systems, where sediment is constantly in motion, and integrates the animal into that motion as if it were another shifting patch of seabed. Once concealed, the stingray's outline dissolves. Its eyes, positioned dorsally, remain just above the sand, but even these are often obscured by a thin veil of particles. The spiracles, small openings behind the eyes, continue to draw water in for respiration, allowing the animal to breathe without exposing its mouth or disturbing the sediment above it. This separation of feeding and breathing pathways is a critical adaptation. It ensures that the act of survival does not compromise the integrity of the disguise. The stingray does not need to reveal itself to function. It exists in a state of operational invisibility. This invisibility is not merely visual. It extends into the sensory domain of other organisms. Many marine animals rely on contrast, movement, or electrical signals to detect life on the seafloor. The stingray minimizes all three. Its coloration matches the spectral properties of the surrounding sand, reducing visual contrast. Its stillness eliminates motion cues. And its electrical output, while present, is subtle enough to blend into the background noise of the environment. To most passing creatures, there is no indication that the sand conceals a living body. The environment does not just hide the stingray, it erases the concept of its presence. Yet beneath this apparent emptiness lies a system primed for rapid, decisive action. The tail, extending behind the buried body, carries one or more barbed spines composed of a hard, dentine-like material. These spines are not permanently exposed. They are sheathed in a thin layer of integument that contains venom-producing cells. Under normal conditions, the tail rests along the substrate, its position concealed along with the rest of the body. But when the overlying sand is disturbed, when pressure is applied directly above the stingray, the system activates. The trigger is not cognitive. It is mechanical and neurological, a reflex arc,
that bypasses deliberation. Pressure receptors embedded in the skin detect deformation, signaling potential threat. This input travels through a simplified neural pathway that initiates a rapid contraction of the musculature at the base of the tail. The result is a whip-like motion that drives the spine upward and forward. As the spine penetrates the intruding object, whether it is the limb of a predator or the foot of an unwary human, the integumentary sheath ruptures, allowing venom to enter the wound through grooves along the spine's surface. The venom itself is a complex mixture of proteins and enzymes that disrupt cellular function at multiple levels. It induces intense pain by activating nociceptors and interfering with ion channels in nerve cells. It can cause localized tissue necrosis, as cytotoxic components break down cell membranes and disrupt metabolic processes. In some cases, systemic effects such as cardiovascular instability or muscle cramping may occur, depending on the amount of venom delivered and the location of the injury. But the primary function of this venom is not to kill. It is to deter, to create an immediate and overwhelming consequence that discourages further contact. This is where the system reveals its deeper logic. The stingray does not pursue threats. It does not patrol territory or engage in active defense. Instead, it relies on the unpredictability of its environment to amplify the effectiveness of its response. The sand, constantly shifting and visually uniform, prevents other organisms from forming reliable expectations about what lies beneath. There are no consistent markers, no fixed boundaries. Each step into this environment carries a degree of uncertainty, and it is this uncertainty that the stingray weaponizes. For prey species, this creates a complex risk landscape. Small fish and invertebrates that forage along the seabed must navigate not only visible predators, but also hidden ones that cannot be detected until it is too late. Some species have evolved behaviors to mitigate this risk, such as probing the sand with specialized appendages or maintaining a cautious distance from certain textures. Others rely on rapid escape responses, ready to dart away at the first sign of disturbance. These adaptations reflect an ongoing evolutionary dialogue between concealment and detection, where the cost of a mistake can be immediate and severe. For larger animals, including humans, the danger is less about predation and more about misinterpretation. The shallow waters where stingrays are commonly found often appear safe, their sandy bottoms inviting contact. But this apparent safety is a perceptual illusion. The absence of visible threats does not equate to the absence of threats. In fact, it may indicate the opposite. The more uniform and featureless the environment appears, the more effectively it can conceal organisms that rely on that uniformity. This leads to a critical reversal in understanding. The stingray is often portrayed as a passive creature, a victim of accidental encounters, striking only when provoked. While this is true in a behavioral sense, it obscures the broader ecological reality. The stingray is not simply reacting to its environment. It is shaping the way that environment is experienced by others. By occupying the sand in a way that eliminates visual cues, it transforms a predictable surface into a probabilistic one. The seafloor becomes a field of potential interactions, where each point of contact carries an unknown outcome. This transformation has cascading effects. Predators that might otherwise exploit shallow sandy habitats must account for the risk of encountering hidden stingrays. This may influence their hunting strategies, pushing them toward different areas or altering their approach angles. Prey species, in turn, adjust their behavior in response to both visible and invisible threats, creating a dynamic system where movement patterns are constantly being recalibrated. The stingray, through its method of concealment, becomes a node in a network of behavioral influences that extend far beyond its immediate vicinity. Yet even within this system, the stingray is not beyond vulnerability. Certain predators have developed techniques to extract buried rays from the sand, using suction feeding or strategic positioning to avoid the tail. Some sharks, for example, are capable of pinning a stingray to the substrate, immobilizing it before the defensive strike can be executed. Others may flip the ray, exposing its less protected underside and neutralizing the threat posed by the spine. In these interactions, the stingray's reliance on concealment becomes a double-edged sword. Its effectiveness depends on remaining undetected, Once revealed, its options are limited. This limitation underscores the specialization of its strategy. The stingray has evolved to dominate a specific ecological niche, one defined by shallow, sandy environments where visibility is inherently low and sediment is abundant. Within this niche, its adaptations are extraordinarily effective. Outside of it, they may offer less advantage. The tail, while formidable as a defensive weapon, is not designed for repeated use in prolonged sangkirsh. The body, optimized for flattening and burial, is not built for speed or endurance. The stingray's power lies in its ability to remain unseen, to exist as part of the environment until interaction forces a response. And so, the sand becomes something more than a substrate. It becomes a medium through which life can hide, a surface that conceals as much as it reveals. The stingray does not simply live within this medium. It exploits its properties, turning its fluidity and uniformity into tools of survival. What appears to be empty space is, in reality, a layered system of potential, where the absence of information is itself a form of information. The final realization is not about the stingray as an isolated organism, but about the nature of the environment it inhabits. In these shallow waters, danger does not always take the form of visible predators or dramatic pursuits. It exists in the quiet, in the undisturbed, in the places where nothing seems to happen. The ocean floor here is not a stage for action, but a trigger for it, waiting for the precise moment when contact transforms stillness into consequence. The escape fails before the pursuit even begins. A reef fish bursts forward in a reflexive surge, muscles firing in perfect sequence, tail beating with the precision of a system built for open water. Yet within a single body length, the path collapses into stone. The space ahead is not empty. It is a narrowing corridor of coral, a fracture in the reef that reduces velocity to irrelevance. Behind it, a head emerges from darkness, jaws already closing, not with speed, but with inevitability. The bite lands not as a chase completed, but as a boundary enforced. And then, instead of lunging forward, the predator retreats. The eel pulls backward into the crevice, and the fish, still alive, still resisting, is dragged into a space that was never designed for escape. The hunt is not a pursuit across distance. It is a reversal into confinement. The moray eel does not rely on speed, because the architecture of its environment removes the need for it. Coral reefs are not open systems. They are labyrinths of calcium carbonate, built over millennia by the skeletal remains of organisms that have transformed shallow seas into dense, three-dimensional structures. Within this complexity, space is fragmented into tunnels, cavities, and dead ends, each defined by rigid boundaries that constrain movement. For most reef inhabitants, these structures provide shelter, a place to hide from predators that cannot follow. But for the moray eel, they are not refuges. They are infrastructure. The eel's body is elongated, laterally compressed, and devoid of the rigid fin structures that would hinder navigation through narrow spaces. Its skin, lacking scales, is coated in a thick layer of mucus that reduces friction and protects against abrasion as it moves through jagged rock. This morphology is not simply an adaptation to the reef. It is a specialization for inhabiting the smallest available volumes within it. Where other fish require open water to maneuver, the moray eel thrives in restriction. It occupies the negative space of the reef, the voids left between growths, the fractures that no other predator can fully exploit. Within these crevices, the eel positions itself as both occupant and gatekeeper. Its head protrudes slightly from the entrance, mouth opening and closing in a rhythmic motion that is often misinterpreted as aggression, but is in fact a respiratory necessity. Unlike many fish, moray eels lack a well-developed operculum, the bony flap that pumps water over the gills. Instead, they rely on buccal pumping, drawing water in through the mouth and expelling it through the gill openings. This constant movement exposes rows of sharp, recurved teeth, creating an image of perpetual readiness. But the true function is physiological, not behavioral. The eel breathes through the very mechanism it uses to capture prey. When prey approaches, the eel does not launch into open water. It does not need to. The geometry of the reef ensures that movement within these spaces is predictable. Fish navigating coral structures must follow the paths available to them, paths that often lead directly past the entrances of hidden predators. The eel's sensory systems, particularly its acute sense of smell, detect chemical cues in the water, identifying the presence of nearby organisms even when they are not visible. This olfactory sensitivity allows the eel to anticipate movement, to prepare for an encounter before it occurs. The strike itself is brief and controlled. The eel extends its head just enough to seize the prey, teeth penetrating scales and muscle with a grip designed not to crush but to hold. There is no immediate attempt to subdue through force. Instead, the eel initiates the defining action of its hunting strategy. It reverses. Muscular contractions along its body pull it backward into the crevice, dragging the captured prey with it. This movement is not an escape. It is a transition from one environment to another, from a space where the prey can still maneuver to one where movement is physically constrained. Inside the crevice, the rules change. The walls of coral limit lateral motion, preventing the prey from generating the thrust needed to break free. The confined space reduces the effectiveness of escape responses, turning rapid bursts of speed into collisions with unyielding surfaces. The eel, by contrast, is adapted to this environment. Its body can coil and anchor against the walls, using them as leverage points to maintain control over the prey. The struggle becomes asymmetrical, not because the eel is stronger in absolute terms, but because the environment amplifies its strengths while negating those of its target. It is within this confined space that the moray eel deploys one of the most specialized feeding mechanisms in the animal kingdom. Hidden behind the primary jaws lies a second set of jaws, the pharyngeal jaws, located in the throat. In most fish, these structures are relatively immobile, assisting in the processing of food once it has been captured. In moray eels, they are highly modified, capable of extending forward into the oral cavity. When the prey is secured, the pharyngeal jaws advance, grasping the prey from within and pulling it deeper into the throat. This mechanism solves a fundamental problem posed by the eel's environment and morphology. In open water, many fish use suction feeding to draw prey into their mouths, creating a rapid influx of water that carries the target inward. But within the narrow confines of a crevice, generating effective suction is difficult. There is limited water volume, and the rigid boundaries disrupt the flow dynamics required for suction to function efficiently. The moray eel's solution is mechanical rather than hydraulic. By physically reaching forward with its pharyngeal jaws, it bypasses the need for suction altogether. The result is a feeding process that is both precise and relentless. The prey, already constrained by the environment and held by the outer jaws, is further secured by the inner jaws, which ratchet it inward in a series of controlled movements. Each extension and retraction reduces the prey's ability to resist, pulling it deeper into a space where escape becomes not just unlikely, but structurally impossible. The reef, in this moment, is no longer a complex habitat. It is a chamber, and the eel is operating within it as both predator and warden. This is the point at which the narrative shifts. The moray eel is often perceived as a solitary ambush predator, a creature that hides within the reef and strikes when opportunity arises. But this perspective isolates the eel from the system that enables its success. The true predator is not just the eel. It is the combination of eel and environment, a partnership in which the physical structure of the reef plays an active role in the capture and containment of prey. The reef's architecture is not incidental. It is the result of biological processes, coral growth, erosion, competition for space, that have produced a landscape of extreme complexity. This complexity creates niches for a wide range of organisms, each adapted to exploit specific aspects of the environment. The moray eel occupies one of the most specialized niches, one defined by confinement. It does not need to control large territories or chase prey across open distances. It needs only to occupy the right space within the reef, a space where the geometry itself becomes a tool. For prey species, this creates a paradox. The very structures that provide protection from many predators also harbor others that are uniquely adapted to exploit those same structures. A fish fleeing from a fast-swimming predator may dive into the reef for safety, only to encounter a moray eel waiting within. The refuge becomes a trap, not because it has changed, but because the context of its use has shifted. The reef does not distinguish between those seeking shelter and those seeking to hunt. It provides the same structures to both, and it is the adaptations of the organisms within it that determine the outcome. This dynamic extends beyond individual interactions. The presence of moray eels influences the behavior of other species within the reef, shaping patterns of movement, habitat use, and even community structure. Prey species may avoid certain crevices or modify their foraging strategies to reduce the risk of encountering hidden predators. Other predators may exploit the same spaces in different ways, creating a layered system of interactions where the same physical structure supports multiple ecological roles. Yet the moray eel, for all its specialization, is not immune to the constraints of its own strategy. Its reliance on confined spaces limits its ability to operate in open environments, where its elongated body and lack of strong swimming fins make it less efficient. In open water, it is not the dominant predator. It becomes vulnerable, its strengths diminished outside the context of the reef's architecture. This reveals the cost of specialization. By becoming perfectly adapted to a specific environment, the eel has traded versatility for precision. Even within the reef, there are predators capable of challenging the moray eel. Larger fish, sharks, and even certain invertebrates may prey on eels, particularly when they are exposed or when their crevices are compromised. The eel's defense lies not in speed or armor, but in the same strategy it uses to hunt: retreat into confinement. By withdrawing deeper into the reef, it reduces its exposure, relying on the inaccessibility of its chosen space to deter threats. In this system, the concept of predator and prey becomes fluid. The moray eel is a hunter within its domain, but that domain is defined by the physical structure of the reef. Outside of it, the roles can reverse. The eel's success is contingent on its ability to remain within the environment that amplifies its strengths. The reef is not just a hunting ground. It is a condition for existence. And so the coral structure, often seen as a vibrant, living landscape, reveals another function. It is not only a place of growth and diversity, but also a mechanism of control. Its tunnels and crevices dictate movement, constrain behavior, and create zones where the balance of power shifts dramatically depending on position. For the moray eel, this structure is not a backdrop. It is a system of walls, corridors, and chambers that transform the act of predation into an exercise in spatial dominance. The final realization is not about the eel's teeth or its hidden jaws, but about the nature of the space it inhabits. Within the reef, freedom of movement is an illusion. Every path is defined, every escape route limited by the rigid geometry of coral. The moray eel does not need to outrun its prey, because the environment has already removed the possibility of escape. The hunt begins not with a chase, but with the quiet certainty that once the boundary is crossed, there is nowhere left to go. The water ahead narrows without warning, and the current compresses into a corridor of stone. A small reef fish accelerates, fleeing a distant threat it cannot fully see, and commits to the only available path, a tight passage between coral buttresses where speed feels like survival. But the flow itself is a signal. Water, forced through constriction, accelerates and aligns, carrying chemical traces, pressure waves, and microvortices that betray movement long before bodies appear. At the far end of this corridor, something holds position against the current with minimal effort, fins making subtle adjustments to maintain a perfect hover. The mouth is closed, the body still, the silhouette indistinguishable from the shadowed rock behind it. Then the corridor delivers its cargo. The fish crosses an invisible threshold, and the water itself collapses inward. There is no lunge, no chase, only a sudden implosion of space as the grouper opens its jaws and the environment completes the capture. The effectiveness of this moment is not rooted in speed or surprise alone, but in geometry. Coral reefs are not random accumulations of structure. They are the result of biological growth patterns, hydrodynamic forces, and competition for light and space, producing a landscape of channels, overhangs, and cavities that shape the movement of water and the organisms within it. These structures create predictable pathways, not because they are designed for any single species, but because physical constraints leave limited options for passage. Where open water allows for infinite trajectories, the reef imposes direction. It funnels. The grouper exploits this constraint with a level of spatial precision that transforms the reef from a complex habitat into a functional hunting system. Its body, robust and laterally compressed, is built not for sustained pursuit, but for stability and sudden force. Large pectoral fins provide fine control, allowing the fish to maintain position within currents that would displace less adapted species. The dorsal and anal fins contribute to balance, creating a stable platform from which the grouper can operate as a fixed point within a moving system. It does not need to patrol territory or search for prey. It needs only to occupy the correct node within the reef's architecture. This node is rarely arbitrary. Groupers are often found at the mouths of caves, at the exits of narrow passages, or along the edges of coral corridors where water flow is concentrated. These locations share a common characteristic. They are points of transition. Prey moving through the reef, whether escaping a predator, searching for food, or navigating between feeding grounds, must pass through these constricted spaces. The reef, in effect, organizes movement into streams, and the grouper positions itself at the terminus of those streams. The sensory systems of the grouper are tuned to exploit this arrangement. Its lateral line, a network of mechanoreceptors running along the body, detects subtle changes in water pressure and flow. As prey enters a corridor, it disturbs the water, creating a pattern of vibrations that propagate ahead of it. These signals are not random. They carry information about size, speed, and direction. The grouper does not need to see the prey to know it is coming. It reads the water as a continuous stream of data, allowing it to anticipate the exact moment when the prey will emerge from the constriction. Vision, when available, adds another layer of precision. The grouper's eyes are adapted to low light conditions, capable of resolving contrast within the shadowed interiors of the reef. This allows it to maintain visual contact with the corridor entrance while remaining concealed within darker regions. Its coloration often mirrors the surrounding substrate, blending with rock and coral in a way that reduces detection. But camouflage is secondary. The primary advantage lies in positioning. Even if the grouper were visible, the geometry of the environment would still favor it. The prey has already committed to a path with limited alternatives. When the moment arrives, the grouper's attack is not a forward strike, but a manipulation of fluid dynamics. It opens its mouth rapidly, expanding the buccal cavity and creating a zone of low pressure. Water rushes inward to equalize the pressure differential, and with it, the prey. This suction feeding mechanism is not unique to groupers, but in this context, it becomes extraordinarily effective. The confined space of the corridor ensures that the incoming water, and anything within it, is already aligned with the predator's mouth. There is no need to adjust trajectory or compensate for lateral movement. The environment has already done the alignment. The speed of this action is critical. The expansion of the mouth and the resulting suction occur on timescales shorter than the reaction time of most prey species. By the time the prey registers the change in pressure or the opening of the jaws, it is already within the flow. Escape responses, which rely on rapid bursts of acceleration, are rendered ineffective because the prey is not moving away from the predator. It is being pulled toward it by the surrounding water. The grouper does not need to overcome the prey's speed. It bypasses it entirely. This is where the narrative begins to shift. The grouper is often described as an ambush predator, a fish that waits and strikes. But this description isolates the behavior from the system that enables it. The true mechanism of predation here is not the strike itself, but the arrangement of space. The reef's architecture channels movement into predictable paths, and the grouper occupies the endpoint of those paths. It is less a hunter moving through an environment and more a component of a larger machine, a fixed element within a dynamic flow. The implications of this strategy extend beyond individual predation events. By occupying key within the reef's network of corridors, groupers influence the movement patterns of other species. Prey fish may alter their routes, avoid certain passages, or change the timing of to reduce the risk of encountering these predators. This, in turn, affects the distribution of grazing pressure on algae, the availability of resources for other species, and the overall structure of the reef community. The grouper's role is not limited to consumption. It participates in shaping the behavior of the ecosystem. Yet this system is not one-sided. The same architecture that benefits the grouper also imposes constraints. Its reliance on specific nakat within the reef means that its hunting success is tied to the stability and configuration of those structures. Changes in coral growth, erosion, or damage, whether from disturbances or human, can alter the flow patterns and pathways that the grouper depends on. A corridor that once funneled prey directly toward a point may become blocked or widened, reducing its effectiveness. The predator's advantage is therefore contingent on the integrity of the environment. This dependency introduces a subtle vulnerability. While the grouper is dominant within its chosen position, it is less effective outside of it. In open water, where movement is unconstrained and prey can approach from multiple directions, the grouper's reliance on suction feeding and positional advantage is diminished. Its optimized and stability rather than gutty is not suited for extended pursuit. It becomes a different kind of organism, one whose strengths are context-dependent. There are also predators that can challenge the grouper even within its domain. Larger fish, sharks, and even marine mammals may target groupers, particularly when they are exposed or when there is focused on incoming prey. In these interactions, the grouper's strategy of holding position can become a liability. Its commitment to a nukta within the reef means that it may have limited escape options if a larger predator approaches from an unexpected direction. The funnel that guides prey can also guide threats. This reversal highlights the dual nature of the reef's architecture. It is not inherently advantageous or disadvantageous. It is a framework that amplifies certain strategies while constraining others. For the grouper, it provides a means to convert environmental structure into predatory efficiency. For other organisms, it presents both opportunities and risks, depending on how they interact with the same space. The most profound realization, however, lies in understanding that the grouper's success is not a product of dominance over the environment, but of alignment with it. It does not reshape the reef or control its dynamics. It identifies where physical forces, water flow, constraint, and movement patterns converge, and it places itself there. The hunt is not an event initiated by the predator, but a process that begins with the movement of prey through a structured landscape. In this sense, the grouper is less a hunter and more an endpoint. The corridor begins somewhere else, shaped by coral growth and hydrodynamic sea, and it ends at the mouth of a fish that has learned to read and exploit that. The prey, moving through the reef, is not simply navigating space. It is entering a system of probabilities, where certain paths carry higher risks than others. The grouper does not need to increase those risks. It only needs to occupy them. And so the reef reveals another layer of its function. It is not just a place of and diversity, but a network of pathways that organize movement and interaction. Within this network, predators like the grouper do not chase their prey across open expanses. They wait at the nakat where movement becomes predictable, whether narrow, and where the environment itself delivers the outcome. The final moment, the opening of the jaws, the collapse of water, the disappearance of the prey, is merely the visible conclusion of a process that began long before in the silent shaping of stone and flow. The escape route disappears not because it was blocked, but because it was never allowed to exist. A crab, moving along a broken stretch of reef, senses pressure change a fraction too late. The water around it thickens, not with resistance but with presence. Arms unfold from the rock itself, not striking but expanding, spreading across the substrate with a deliberate enclosing logic. Each limb does not chase. It occupies. One seals the gap behind, another presses against a coral edge, a third lifts slightly to close a vertical exit the crab did not know it had. Within seconds, the geometry of the space has changed. What was once open terrain becomes a sealed chamber, and the prey, still capable of movement, finds that movement no longer leads anywhere. The trap is not sprung, it is constructed. The octopus operates on a fundamentally different principle than most predators in the reef.
It does not rely on speed to intercept or strength to overpower. It relies on control. Control not just over its own body, but over the immediate environment. Its nervous system is distributed, with a significant portion of its neurons located within its arms, allowing each limb to process sensory information and execute movement semi-independently. This decentralization is not a limitation. It is an expansion of capability. Each arm becomes both sensor and actor, capable of probing, gripping, and adjusting in real time based on tactile and chemical feedback from the surface it contacts. This means the octopus does not perceive the environment as a static backdrop. It reads it continuously, mapping textures, gaps, and escape routes with a level of resolution that exceeds visual observation alone. Suckers along the arms are not merely of adhesion, they are detectors, capable of tasting the surfaces they touch, identifying prey even when it is concealed within crevices or beneath sediment. The octopus does not need to see the crab clearly. It knows where it is through contact, through the subtle gradients of chemical signals that diffuse through water and settle onto surfaces. As the arms spread, they do not move randomly. They align with the topography of the reef, pressing into depressions, wrapping around protrusions, and anchoring against stable. This creates a dynamic enclosure, one that conforms to the irregular geometry of the environment. Unlike a rigid trap, which must be built to fit a specific shape, the octopus constructs its enclosure in real time, adapting to the exact configuration of the space. The arms function as flexible walls, sealing gaps that would otherwise allow escape. The prey is not chased into a corner. The corner is built around it. The body of the octopus, meanwhile, undergoes its own transformation. Specialized cells in the skin, chromatophores, iridophores, and leucophores, adjust pigmentation and reflectivity, allowing the animal to match the rung and texture of its surroundings with remarkable precision. But this is not simply camouflage for concealment. It is part of the trapping strategy. By blending into the background, the octopus reduces the likelihood that the prey will initiate an escape response prematurely. The enclosure can be completed before the prey fully registers the presence of a predator. The environment appears unchanged, even as it is being reshaped. This dual process, spatial through the arms and visual integration through the skin, creates a scenario in which the prey's decision-making framework is undermined. In most predator-prey interactions, escape is guided by gradients. Move away from the threat, toward open space, toward. But within the octopus's constructed environment, these gradients collapse. There is no clear direction of safety because every direction is being actively managed. The prey's neurological responses, tuned to a world where space is relatively stable, become ineffective in a space that is being rewritten moment by moment. Once the enclosure is complete, the octopus transitions from containment to capture. One or more arms converge on the prey, using suckers to secure it, while the others maintain the integrity of the enclosure. The beak, located at the center of the arms, delivers the final daystria, often injecting enzymes or venom that begin the process of immobilization and digestion. But even this phase reflects the same principle. The prey is not subdued through a single strike. It is controlled, held within a system that prevents effective resistance. This is where the narrative reveals its deeper inversion. The octopus is often described as a highly intelligent predator, capable of problem-solving and tool use. While this is accurate, it can obscure the ecological context in which that intelligence operates. The octopus does not simply outthink its prey. It externalizes its cognition into the environment. The arms, acting semi-autonomously, extend the boundaries of its nervous system into the surrounding space. The trap is not just a physical structure. It is a manifestation of distributed decision-making, where each of the body contributes to the overall strategy. In this sense, the octopus is not a solitary organism interacting with an external world. It is a system that temporarily incorporates elements of that world into itself. Rocks are repositioned, shells are used as barriers, and terrain features are leveraged to close gaps. In some cases, octopuses have been observed carrying objects, coconut shells, fragments of coral, not as permanent tools but as mobile components that can be deployed when needed. This behavior blurs the line between organism and environment.
The boundary of the octopus is not fixed at its structure. It extends outward to include whatever materials it can manipulate. The reef, therefore, becomes a reservoir of structures, each of which can be integrated into the octopus's hunting strategy. A crevice is not just a hiding place, it is a potential wall. A loose stone is not just of the substrate, it is a movable barrier. The octopus does not need to create new structures from scratch. It repurposes existing ones, assembling them into temporary configurations that serve immediate ahdaf. Once the interaction is complete, these configurations dissolve and the environment returns to its pre-sne state, leaving little trace of the event. This transient nature of the trap introduces a unique ecological dynamic. Unlike predators that modify their environment permanently through burrowing, nest building, or territorial marking, the octopus's impact is ephemeral. It reshapes space only for as long as necessary, then releases it. This allows it to operate across a wide range of microhabitats without committing to any single one. The environment is not altered in a lasting way, but it is continuously reinterpreted. Yet this strategy is not without limitations. The octopus's reliance on close-range control means that it must operate within a certain proximity to its prey. It cannot influence movement at a distance in the way that fast-swimming predators or those that use long-range sensory cues can. Its success depends on the ability to approach undetected and to construct the enclosure quickly enough to prevent escape. This requires a Visoki degree of coordination between arms, as well as precise timing. Any delay or misalignment can create an opening, a gap through which the prey can escape. There are also predators that can exploit the octopus's method. Larger fish, eels, and marine mammals may target octopuses, particularly when they are engaged in the process of hunting and thus partially committed to a specific configuration. In these moments, the octopus's distributed system can become a liability. Arms extended to control prey may be less available for defense, and the focus on constructing the trap can reduce awareness of external threats. The same flexibility that allows the octopus to reshape its environment also requires constant recalibration, a continuous balancing of priorities. This leads to the final reversal. The octopus appears to dominate its environment through intelligence and adaptability, turning the reef into a series of temporary traps. But in doing so, it becomes deeply dependent on the availability and structure of that environment. Without a succour to move, without crevices to seal, without textured surfaces to anchor its arms, its strategy loses effectiveness. Its power lies not in isolation, but in integration. It is strongest when it can merge with the environment, when it can extend itself into the spaces around it. The true nature of the hunt, then, is not a contest of speed or strength, but a negotiation of space. The octopus does not chase its prey across the reef. It redraws the map beneath it, altering the rules of movement until escape is no longer a function of effort, but of geometry. The environment is not a passive stage on which the interaction unfolds. It is an active participant, shaped and reshaped by a creature that has evolved not just to survive within it, but to momentarily become its architect. The surface looks like safety because it is bright. Light fractures across it, scattering into a blinding lattice of reflections that overwhelms the eye and erases depth, turning the water below into a featureless glare. A seal rises toward that brightness, lungs tightening with the need for air, vision locked upward on a ceiling that appears empty. But the emptiness is an illusion created by physics. Beneath that luminous shield, something aligns with the gradient, body angled just below the threshold where light dissolves into darkness. There is no silhouette, no shadow that can be resolved against the chaos above. Only when the water itself detonates, when mass accelerates vertically with explosive force, does the boundary collapse. And by then, the distance between predator and prey has already been reduced to nothing. The strike is not hidden by speed. It is hidden by light. The great white shark operates within a narrow band of the ocean where visibility is not determined by clarity, but by contrast. In open water, detection relies on the ability to distinguish shapes against a background, to resolve edges where light transitions into shadow. But at the interface between air and sea, this system breaks down. Sunlight entering the water is refracted, scattered, and reflected in complex patterns that create a dynamic field of glare. This field is not static. It shifts with wave action, surface tension, and the angle of the sun, producing a constantly changing visual environment that overwhelms the sensory systems of animals looking upward. For prey species, the surface becomes a paradoxical zone, bright enough to signal safety, yet too visually noisy to reveal what lies beneath. The shark's body is adapted to exploit this paradox. Its coloration follows a principle known as counter-shading, a gradient that aligns with the vertical ado profile of the ocean. The dorsal surface is dark, absorbing and blending with the deeper, shadowed when viewed from above. The ventral surface is pale, reflecting and matching the brighter conditions near the surface when viewed from below. This duality is not merely camouflage in the traditional sense. It is a dynamic alignment with the optical properties of the environment. When the shark positions itself beneath a target, its pale underside merges with the filtering down from above, effectively erasing its outline against the glare. This optical concealment is enhanced by the structure of the surface itself. Waves create undulating patterns that distort the path of incoming light, producing of intense brightness interspersed with darker patches. These fluctuations generate a visual noise field that masks movement. Even if the shark shifts position, the change is absorbed into the broader pattern of eye distortion. The prey, looking downward through this shifting lattice, cannot isolate the predator from the background. The shark does not need to remain perfectly still. It needs only to remain within the threshold where contrast is minimized. Positioning within this threshold is not arbitrary. The shark uses a combination of sensory systems to locate and track prey long before the final approach. Its olfactory organs detect chemical cues carried through the water, allowing it to identify the presence of potential prey at considerable distances. Its lateral line system registers low-frequency vibrations, mapping the movement of animals through subtle pressure changes. And critically, it possesses specialized electroreceptors, ampullae of Lorenzini, that detect the slabby electrical fields generated by the muscle activity of living organisms. These systems operate independently of light, providing the shark with a multi-layered perception of its environment that does not rely on visual confirmation. As the shark closes in, it adjusts its depth with precision, maintaining a position just below where the glare is strongest. This is not simply a matter of staying hidden. It is about controlling the angle of approach. By attacking from below, the shark ensures that its body remains within the brightest region of the prey's field of view, where detection is least likely. The vertical trajectory also maximizes the transfer of energy during the strike. The shark accelerates upward, converting stored muscular power into kinetic force, using the density of water as a medium to generate thrust. The distance is short, the acceleration rapid, and the timing exact. The moment of impact is a convergence of physics and biology. The shark's jaws open at the precise instant required to intercept the prey, teeth designed not for crushing but for slicing, arranged in rows that ensure continuous functionality even as individual teeth are lost and replaced. The force of the strike often carries both predator and prey out of the water, a breach that is as much of momentum as it is a display of power. But this visible explosion is only the final expression of a process that has been unfolding invisibly beneath the surface. The true mechanism of the hunt lies in the manipulation of perception. The shark does not create darkness or concealment in the conventional sense. It uses the existing properties of light at the surface to generate a zone where visibility is compromised. This zone is not fixed in space. It moves with the waves, shifts with the sun, and changes with the time of day. The shark must continuously adjust its position to remain within it, aligning its body with the gradient of in a way that maintains its invisibility. This requires not just physical control, but an implicit understanding of how light behaves in water. This is where the narrative shifts. The great white shark is often portrayed as an apex predator defined by raw power and aggression, a creature that dominates through strength and speed. But this portrayal overlooks the subtlety of its primary hunting strategy. The shark is not simply overpowering its prey, it is exploiting a sensory blind spot, a limitation in the way other animals perceive their environment. The ocean surface, which appears to be a boundary between two worlds, becomes a functional tool, a layer that can be used to obscure and deceive. For prey species, this creates a fundamental challenge. The surface is essential for survival, providing access to air for breathing and often serving as a zone of relative safety from predators that hunt deeper in the water column. But this same zone is also where their sensory systems are least effective. The glare that signals openness also conceals clutter. This forces prey to make trade-offs, balancing the need to approach the surface with the risk of encountering hidden predators. Some species have evolved behaviors to mitigate this risk, such as approaching at angles, scanning the water below, or using group dynamics to increase the chances of detection. But these adaptations are not foolproof. The optical environment itself remains a limiting factor. The shark's reliance on this environment also introduces constraints. Its success depends on the presence of sufficient dough to create the glare effect, as well as on the structural conditions of the surface. In calmer waters, where the surface is smoother and reflections are less chaotic, the effectiveness of the blind zone may be reduced. In deeper or darker waters, where light penetration is limited, the contrast between the shark's underside and the background may become more pronounced, increasing the likelihood of detection. The strategy is highly effective within a specific set of conditions, but less so outside of them. There are also instances where the roles can reverse. Large prey animals, such as certain marine mammals, possess the size and alcua to resist or even injure a shark during an encounter. In these cases, the initial advantage provided by concealment may not guarantee success. The shark must rely on precise targeting, often aiming for specific areas of the prey's body to maximize the impact of the strike while minimizing the risk of counterattack. A miscalculation can result in injury, which for a predator of this size and lifestyle can have significant consequences. This interplay between advantage and vulnerability highlights the delicate balance within which the shark operates. Its power is undeniable, but it is not absolute. It is mediated by the environment, by the behavior of its prey, and by the physical properties of light and water. The shark does not control these factors. It aligns with them, positioning itself within a system where they can be used to its benefit. The most profound realization is that the ocean surface is not merely a boundary or a backdrop. It is an active participant in the interaction between predator and prey. Its sposobness to distort light, to create glare and obscure depth, transforms it into a functional component of the hunting process. The shark does not need to create concealment. It exists within a layer of the ocean where concealment is already built into the physics of the environment. And so the moment of the breach, the explosion of water, the sudden dhuhr of a massive predator, becomes a kind of revelation. It is the instant when the hidden structure of the environment is exposed, when the illusion of safety dissolves and the underlying dynamics are made visible. But by that point, the outcome has already been determined. The surface, which seemed to promise clarity and escape, has instead served as a mask, hiding the approach until the final fraction of a second. The predator was never absent. It was simply aligned with a world that the prey could not fully see. The water does not need to be dark to be blind. It only needs to be uncertain. Suspended particles drift through the column, sand, plankton, organic debris, scattering light into a diffuse haze that dissolves edges and erases direction. A fish turns sharply, sensing movement that cannot be confirmed, reacting to pressure waves that arrive without a visible source. Every signal is incomplete, every cue degraded. Somewhere within this shifting field, a shape moves. Not fast, not directly, but close enough that distance becomes meaningless. The strike, when it comes, is not a precise interception. It is contact within confusion, a collision guided by probability rather than clarity. In this world, the failure is not speed, it is perception. The tiger shark is built for this failure. Unlike predators that depend on high-resolution vision to track and target specific prey, it operates effectively within environments where visual information is unreliable or absent. Coastal waters, estuaries, reef edges, and river mouths are rarely clear. They are dynamic systems where sediment is constantly resuspended by mojaction, tidal currents, and biological activity. Light entering these waters is scattered in multiple directions, reducing contrast and creating a drisha field where outlines blur and movement becomes difficult to interpret. For many species, this reduction in clarity is a liability. For the tiger shark, it is an advantage. Its sensory system is not anchored to vision alone. While its eyes are capable of detecting movement and contrast, they are supplemented by a suite of other modalities that function independently of water clarity. The lateral line system detects vibrations and pressure gradients, mapping the movement of nearby organisms through the displacement of water. The ampullae of Lorenzini, embedded in the shark's snout, sense the weak electrical fields generated by muscle contractions, allowing the shark to locate prey even when it is completely obscured. Olfactory receptors detect chemical traces carried through the water, providing information about the presence and identity of potential targets over considerable distances. These systems do not rely on clear images. They rely on signals that persist even in chaos. This multi-layered perception allows the tiger shark to operate within a different framework of hunting. It does not need to identify a specific target at long range or calculate a precise trajectory based on visual tracking. Instead, it moves through the environment as a field of ihtimalat, sampling sensory data continuously and adjusting its path based on gradients of information. When vibrations increase, when electrical signals intensify, when chemical cues become stronger, the shark closes in. The exact shape or species of the prey is secondary. What matters is proximity. The body of the tiger shark reflects this strategy. It is large, moshny, and capable of generating significant thrust, but it is not specialized for the allure of high-speed, long-distance chases seen in more streamlined predators. Its cure lies in its ability to maneuver within complex, low-visibility environments, to turn, accelerate, and adjust direction in response to incomplete data. Its dentition, broad, serrated teeth with a distinctive shape, allows it to process a wide variety of prey, from fish and turtles to birds and mammals. This generalist feeding strategy reduces the need for precision. The shark does not need to target a specific type of prey with exacting accuracy. It needs only to encounter something edible within its sensory range. This is where the environment becomes an active participant. In clear water, prey can detect predators at a distance, using vision to initiate escape responses before the predator enters striking range. In murky water, this early detection is compromised. The farsla at which a prey animal can identify a threat is reduced, sometimes dramatically. This compresses the interaction space, bringing predator and prey into proximity before either has fully processed the situation. The prey's reaction time remains the same, but the available time to react is shortened. The difference between detection and contact collapses. The tiger shark exploits this compression. It does not need to close a large gap or outmaneuver a prey that has already initiated an escape. It operates within a zone where the prey's awareness is delayed, where the first clear signal of danger may coincide with the moment of impact. The shark's approach is often indirect, its movement blending into the background noise of the albia. Without a clear visual reference, the prey cannot distinguish between random disturbances and the approach of a predator. Every harket in the water becomes ambiguous, and this ambiguity is the shark's camouflage. The strike itself is less about precision targeting and more about timing within proximity. When the shark enters a range where its sensory inputs converge, where vibration, electrical signals and chemical cues all indicate the presence of prey, it accelerates. The bite is moshny and decisive, but it does not require the same level of touchness as a high-speed pursuit in clear water. The shark is not aiming for a specific nukta based on visual alignment. It is responding to a cluster of signals that indicate the presence of a living organism within reach. This approach leads to a fundamental inversion of the typical predator-prey dynamic. In many systems, the advantage lies with the organism that can process the most information, that can see, track, and predict with the greatest accuracy. In murky environments, information itself becomes unreliable. The advantage shifts to the organism that can function effectively with less information, that can act decisively despite uncertainty. The tiger shark does not need a clear picture. It needs a sufficient signal. For prey species, this creates a profound challenge. Their sensory systems, often optimized for clearer conditions, struggle to operate within the degraded visual field. They may detect movement, but without clarity, they cannot determine direction or intent. This leads to hesitation, to false starts, to inefficient escape responses. Some species attempt to compensate by relying more heavily on other senses, by staying in groups to increase collective detection, or by avoiding areas of high turbidity altogether. But these strategies are not always possible, particularly in environments where murkiness is a postoyanni feature. The ecological implications of this dynamic extend beyond individual encounters. In coastal and estuarine systems, where turbidity is influenced by factors such as sediment runoff, tidal mixing, and human activity, the balance between predator and prey can shift with changes in water clarity. Increased turbidity may enhance the hunting success of species like the tiger shark, while decreased turbidity may favor prey that rely on vision. This creates a feedback loop, where environmental conditions influence behavioral patterns, which in turn affect the structure of the ecosystem. Yet the tiger shark's strategy is not without its own risks. Operating in low visibility environments means that the shark itself is subject to the same limitations as its prey. While its sensory systems mitigate these limitations, they do not eliminate them. The shark may encounter objects or organisms that are not suitable prey, leading to interactions that are energetically costly or potentially harmful. Its generalist feeding strategy, while advantageous in terms of flexibility, also increases the likelihood of engaging with unfamiliar or defari targets. There are also predators and competitors that share these environments, each with their own adaptations to murky conditions. Encounters between large predators in low visibility can be unpredictable, as neither can rely fully on vision to assess the other. This introduces an element of risk that is less pronounced in clearer waters, where visual cues can inform decision-making at greater distances. This leads to the final reversal. The murky water, which appears to disadvantage all organisms by reducing visibility, does not create a level playing field. It selectively favors those that can operate within uncertainty, those that can extract meaning from incomplete data and act without full confirmation. The tiger shark is not simply surviving in chaos, it is aligned with it. Its sensory systems, body plan, and behavioral strategies are all tuned to a world where information is degraded and ambiguity is the norm. The environment, in this case, is not hiding the predator in the conventional sense. It is removing the conditions under which the predator would need to hide. There is no clear field in which to be seen, no stabile background against which to stand out. The concept of visibility itself is altered, replaced by a postoyanni flux of partial signals and shifting patterns. The shark does not need to become invisible. It needs only to exist within a system where visibility is inherently compromised. And so the water, thick with suspended life and matter, becomes more than a medium. It becomes a filter, a modifier of information that shapes every interaction within it. Movement is no longer a clear signal. It is noise. Direction is no longer obvious. It is inferred. Within this prostranstva, the tiger shark moves not as a precise hunter tracking a defined target, but as a presence navigating probability, closing distance, until uncertainty resolves into contact. By the time clarity returns, if it returns at all, the outcome has already been decided. The water narrows until it stops behaving like open ocean and starts behaving like a corridor. Silt clouds the column, current presses everything in one direction, and the space itself begins to dictate movement. A fish turns, attempting to reverse course, but the banks close in, roots and submerged debris interrupting any clean line of escape. The water carries sound poorly here, scattering vibrations against mud and wood, and vision collapses into a short, murky radius where shapes dissolve before they can be interpreted. Somewhere within that confined flow, a body advances not quickly, but inevitably. There is no dramatic chase, no visible pursuit, only a reduction of options until movement itself becomes a trap. When contact happens, It is not because the prey failed to outrun the predator. It is because the environment removed the possibility of running at all. The bull shark is uniquely positioned to exploit this compression of space because it is not bound to the chemical constraints that limit most marine predators. Its physiology allows it to regulate internal salt concentrations through specialized kidneys and rectal glands, maintaining osmotic balance in both seawater and freshwater. This capability, osmoregulation at a level that supports full penetration into rivers and estuaries, opens an entire class of environments that are inaccessible to other large sharks. But this is not merely an expansion of territory. It is an entry into systems where the rules of predation are fundamentally different. Rivers and estuaries are defined by confinement. Unlike the open ocean, where three-dimensional movement allows for complex evasion strategies, these environments impose linear constraints. Channels guide flow, banks limit lateral movement, and submerged structures, roots, rocks, sediment ridges, fragment the available space into narrow pathways. Water velocity, driven by tidal exchange or downstream flow, further aligns movement, creating directional duct that organisms must constantly counter or exploit. For prey species, this means that escape is not a matter of choosing any direction. It is a matter of choosing among very few. Visibility in these systems is often severely degraded. Suspended sediments, organic matter, and microbial activity scatter light, reducing clarity to a fraction of what is experienced in open water. The optical range shrinks, sometimes to distances shorter than the length of the predator itself. This has profound implications for sensory processing. Visual cues, which in clear water provide early warning of approaching threats, become unreliable. Shapes blur, edges soften, and motion is difficult to distinguish from the background noise of drifting particles. The environment does not simply hide the predator. It removes the conditions under which the prey can detect it. The bull shark's sensory systems are adapted to operate within this degraded field. Its lateral line detects pressure changes and Harker patterns in the water, allowing it to map the movement of nearby organisms even when they are not visible. Its electroreceptors sense the faint electrical signals generated by muscle activity, providing a direct link to the Jeevit presence of prey. These inputs do not depend on clarity. They function in darkness, in turbidity, in conditions where vision fails entirely. The shark does not need to see its target. It needs only to sense that something is there, within reach. Movement within this environment is not about speed. The bull shark does not need to accelerate rapidly over long distances because the geometry of the system ensures that prey will come within range. The confined space compresses interactions, bringing predator and prey into proximity without the need for pursuit. The shark can patrol slowly, conserving energy, allowing the current and the structure of the environment to guide potential targets toward it. When the moment arrives, the distance to be closed is minimal. The prey, by contrast, is operating under severe constraints. Its sensory inputs are limited, its field of vision reduced, and its alhirat for movement restricted. Turning quickly in confined water is mechanically difficult, particularly when the surrounding space is cluttered with obstacles. Sudden dishar changes can lead to collisions with the environment, further reducing speed and increasing vulnerability. The prey's nervous system, tuned to respond to threats with rapid directional shifts, is forced to operate within a space that does not accommodate those responses. This mismatch between behavioral programming and environmental structure is where the bull shark gains its advantage. The prey attempts to execute an escape maneuver that is effective in open water, but the environment invalidates it. The shark does not need to outmaneuver the prey. It needs only to remain within a system that prevents the prey from maneuvering effectively. When the strike occurs, it is a continuation of this compression. The shark closes the final gap with a short burst of speed, jaws opening to deliver a bite that is less about precision targeting and more about decisive contact. The couat of the bite, supported by a robust jaw structure and serrated teeth, ensures that once contact is made, the prey is unlikely to escape. But the critical phase of the interaction has already passed. The outcome was largely determined by the environment before the shark even accelerated. This leads to a deeper inversion of the typical narrative. The bull shark is often portrayed as an aggressive predator, one that actively hunts and dominates its environment through allure and boldness. But within rivers and estuaries, its success is less about aggression and more about alignment with geography. The environment itself performs much of the work, shaping the interaction in ways that favor the predator. The shark becomes a component within a larger system, one that channels movement, reduces information, and compresses space. The implications of this system extend beyond individual predation events. In these confined waters, the presence of a predator like the bull shark can influence the distribution and behavior of entire communities. Prey species may avoid certain channels or depths, altering feeding patterns and habitat use. This can cascade through the ecosystem, affecting the availability of resources for other organisms and changing the structure of the food web. The shark's impact is not limited to the individuals it consumes. It extends into the theme of the environment itself. Yet this strategy is not without its constraints. The same confinement that benefits the bull shark also limits its options. In narrow channels, maneuverability is reduced, and the presence of obstacles can interfere with movement. The shark must navigate a complex physical environment, balancing the need to remain within productive hunting areas with the risk of becoming trapped or injured. Additionally, the variability of river systems, changes in water level, flow rate, and turbidity can alter the effectiveness of its hunting strategy over time. There are also organisms within these environments that have adapted to similar conditions. Some fish species develop enhanced non-visual sensory systems, allowing them to detect predators despite low visibility. Others adopt behaviors that minimize movement or keep them close to sanrachnatmak refuges, reducing the likelihood of entering open channels where the shark has an advantage. These adaptations create a dynamic interplay, where both predator and prey are continuously adjusting to the constraints and opportunities presented by the environment. The final reversal emerges from the realization that the bull shark is not simply exploiting a difficult environment. It is dependent on it. Its ability to dominate these confined, murky systems is tied directly to the limitations those systems impose on others. In clear, open water, where visibility is high and space is abundant, the same advantages diminish. Prey can detect the shark earlier, maneuver more freely, and use speed and discharge changes to evade. The bull shark remains a formidable predator, but the balance shifts. In the nuddy and estuary, however, the balance is decisively altered. The environment compresses the interaction, reduces the available information, and channels movement into predictable paths. The shark does not need to create these conditions. It inhabits them. Its physiology allows it to enter spaces where other large predators cannot. And within those spaces, the rules of engagement are rewritten. The water here is not just a medium. It is a structure shaped by land, flow, and suspended matter into a system that constrains and directs life within it. Visibility is limited not by darkness, but by kathafa. Movement is guided not by choice, but by geography. Within this system, the bull shark does not need to chase or outthink its prey. It needs only to exist at the right point within the flow, where the narrowing of space and the collapse of information bring everything within reach. The sand looks like protection until it starts leaking information. A stingray vanishes beneath a thin veil of sediment, body flattened, spiracles drawing water without disturbance, its outline erased by a surface that rewards stillness and punishes movement. To every eye in the water column, the seabed returns to neutrality, featureless, quiet, safe. But the body beneath it cannot turn off its own electricity. Every muscle fiber, every ion exchange across cell membranes generates a faint field that bleeds upward through the sand in a constant, involuntary signal. It is not a broadcast meant to be heard. It is a physiological consequence of being alive. And somewhere above that invisible emission, a head sweeps side to side, not searching for shape, but for charge. The moment the signal sharpens, the illusion of hiding collapses, and the sand, once a shield, becomes a map. The hammerhead shark is not built to see what others cannot. It is built to detect what others cannot stop emitting. Its head, expanded into a wide, laterally flattened structure known as the cephalofoil, is not a visual exaggeration but a sensory platform. Along its underside are arrays of electroreceptors, ampullae of Lorenzini, embedded in pores that open directly to the surrounding water. These structures are capable of detecting extremely weak electrical fields, the kind produced by the bioelectric activity of living tissue. In most sharks, these receptors are concentrated around the snout. In hammerheads, they are spread across a much wider span, increasing both sensitivity and spatial resolution. This distribution transforms detection into a form of mapping. As the shark moves its head in a sweeping motion, it samples the electrical landscape beneath it, comparing signal intensity across the width of the cephalofoil. Differences in signal strength between the left and right sides provide directional information, allowing the shark to triangulate the source of the emission with remarkable accuracy. This is not a passive sense. It is an active scan, a continuous process of data acquisition that converts the seabed into a field of gradients, where buried organisms appear not as shapes, but as of electrical disturbance. In sandy environments, this ability undermines one of the most common survival strategies. Many benthic animals rely on camouflage and burial to avoid detection, blending into the substrate or hiding beneath it to escape visual predators. This strategy is effective against hunters that depend on sight or movement cues, but it does nothing to suppress the electrical signature of living tissue. The sand, while capable of obscuring shape and color, does not block the transmission of weak electrical fields. It becomes transparent to a predator that does not rely on vision. The hammerhead exploits this transparency by aligning its behavior with the properties of the environment. It patrols sandy flats and coastal bottoms where burial is common, moving in a plavny, deliberate pattern that maximizes coverage. The sweeping motion of the head is not random. It is calibrated to sample overlapping regions of the substrate, ensuring that no area is left unscanned. The shark does not need to see the prey. It needs only to detect the signal that confirms its presence. When a target is identified, the shark transitions from detection to interaction with a movement that is both precise and forceful. It angles downward, positioning the cephalofoil directly above the source of the electrical field. Then, in a controlled descent, it presses its head against the sand, pinning the hidden prey beneath it. This behavior serves multiple functions simultaneously. It prevents the prey from escaping by restricting its movement, it disrupts the surrounding sediment, exposing the buried body, and it aligns the shark's jaws for the final bite. The use of the head as a physical tool is a critical component of this strategy. The cephalofoil is not merely a sensory organ. It is a structural adaptation that allows the shark to interact with the environment in a way that other predators cannot. By pressing down on the sand, the shark converts detection into transforming a hidden target into an accessible one. The prey, which relied on the substrate for concealment, finds itself immobilized by the very surface it used for protection. This sequence, detection, pinning, capture, reveals a deeper inversion in the relationship between prey and environment. The sandy seabed, often perceived as a safe refuge for organisms that can blend into it, becomes a liability when faced with a predator that bypasses visual concealment. The more effectively the prey hides from sight, the more it relies on remaining still, and the more its electrical signature becomes the primary indicator of its presence. The environment in this case does not protect. It concentrates. The hammerhead's approach is not based on speed or surprise in the conventional sense. It does not need to rush or ambush from a distance. Its advantage lies in certainty. Once the electrical signal is detected and localized, the prey's position is known with a degree of precision that does not depend on visual confirmation. The shark can approach methodically, conserving energy, and execute the capture with minimal for adjustment. The uncertainty that defines other hunting scenarios is largely removed. This certainty, however, is not absolute. The electrical signals emitted by prey are weak and can be influenced by environmental factors such as water conductivity, temperature, and the presence of other electrical sources. The shark must interpret these signals within a complex background, distinguishing between targets and other disturbances. This requires a sensory processing that integrates multiple inputs, combining electroreception with mechanoreception and, when possible, vision. The cephalofoil enhances this integration by providing a wide baseline for comparison. improving the shark's ability to resolve fine differences in signal intensity. There are also prey species that have evolved responses to this form of detection. Some may reduce movement to minimize electrical output, while others may use rapid, erratic bursts to disrupt the shark's ability to maintain a stable reading. Certain species may even exploit the presence of other electrical signals to mask their own. These adaptations reflect an ongoing evolutionary interaction, where the effectiveness of one strategy drives the development of counter-strategies in another. Yet the hammerhead's specialization comes with its own constraints. The cephalofoil, while advantageous for sensory detection and substrate interaction, alters the hydrodynamics of the shark's movement. It increases drag and may reduce efficiency in sustained high-speed swimming compared to more streamlined species. This suggests a trade-off, where the benefits of enhanced detection and control in specific environments outweigh the costs in others. The hammerhead is not optimized for all Schreiet. It is optimized for those where its unique adaptations provide a decisive edge. This leads to the final reversal. The sandy environment, which appears to offer suruksha through concealment, is not inherently protective. Its effectiveness depends on the sensory limitations of the predators within it. For animals that rely on vision, the sand is a shield. For a predator that reads electrical signals, it is a surface that reveals. The hammerhead does not need to uncover its prey visually. It interprets the invisible emissions that pass through the substrate, turning the very act of being alive into a detectable trait. The prey, in this system, is caught between two realities. To avoid detection by visual predators, it must remain still and blend into the environment. But in doing so, it continues to emit the electrical signals that betray its presence to a different kind of hunter. Movement increases visibility. Stillness increases detectability. There is no perfect strategy, only trade-offs that shift depending on the sensory landscape. The hammerhead exists at the nukta where these trade-offs converge. It does not dominate through brute force or speed alone. It aligns its biology with a layer of the environment that others cannot access, converting hidden information into actionable data. The sand, the water, the electrical properties of living tissue all become components of a system that the shark navigates with precision. And so the seabed, often imagined as a place of quiet concealment, reveals another function. It is not just a surface on which life hides. It is a medium through which life signals its presence, continuously and involuntarily. The hammerhead does not break the camouflage. It renders it irrelevant. The environment, which promised safety through invisibility, becomes a field of exposure, where the only thing that cannot be hidden is the fundamental process of being alive. The distance looks like safety because nothing fills it. A small fish drifts just beyond the reef edge, where structure dissolves into open blue, and the last fragments of coral give way to water that offers no obstruction, no shadow, no interruption. For a moment, the absence of cover feels like freedom. There is nothing to collide with, nothing to trap movement, nothing to block escape. Then the stillness fractures, not with noise, not with turbulence, but with a sudden collapse of distance. A body that was not visible a heartbeat before crosses the entire gap in a single, violent acceleration. There is no pursuit, no visible approach, only the instant where separation ceases to exist. The strike is over before the prey's nervous system can translate motion into action. In open water, the danger is not what is hidden. It is what arrives faster than perception itself. The Barracuda is built to weaponize this emptiness. Its body is elongated, streamlined to reduce drag and maximize acceleration, with a rigid mihwa that channels muscular force into forward thrust with minimal loss of energy. The tail, deeply forked and powerful, acts as a propulsion system capable of generating sudden bursts of speed that far exceed the sustained swimming abilities of most reef-associated fish. This is not endurance-based movement. It is explosive, a rapid conversion of stored energy into kinetic force designed to close short distances almost instantaneously. In environments where structure dominates, reefs, mangroves, rocky outcrops, such speed is constrained by the need to navigate around obstacles. Acceleration must be balanced with control, and prey can exploit the complexity of the environment to break line of sight or force the predator into inefficient trajectories. In open water, these constraints issue out. There are no barriers to redirect motion, no surfaces to disrupt flow, no features to hide behind. The prostranstva becomes a continuous medium in which movement can occur in a straight line, unimpeded by geometry. For prey, this shift removes a critical component of survival. Cover is not merely a physical barrier, it is a cognitive anchor. It provides reference points that allow the brain to assess distance, direction, and relative speed. Without it, perception becomes more difficult. Objects in open water lack context, making it harder to judge how far away they are or how quickly they are approaching. This is particularly problematic when dealing with a predator like the barracuda, whose approach is defined by rapid acceleration over short distances. The window between detection and impact is compressed to the point where traditional escape responses are ineffective. The barracuda exploits this perceptual gap by maintaining a position that minimizes its visibility until the final moment. Its coloration often reflects the surrounding water, with a cerebristy sheen that mirrors ambient light and reduces contrast. In bright conditions, this reflective surface can blend with the surrounding environment, especially when viewed against the diffuse background of open water. The predator does not need to be invisible in the absolute sense. It needs only to delay detection long enough to initiate its strike within a range where escape is no longer possible. This delay is further enhanced by the behavior of the barracuda itself. It often holds position in the water column with minimal movement, aligning its body with the jurian and maintaining a low profile that reduces disturbance. To a passing fish, it may appear as a static element, a juz of the background rather than an active threat. This stillness is deceptive. It is not inactivity, but preparation, a state in which the predator is poised to convert potential energy into motion with immediate effect. When the strike is triggered, the transition from stillness to movement is abrupt and overwhelming. The barracuda accelerates in a straight line, jaws opening to reveal rows of sharp, fang-like teeth, designed to pierce and pucker rather than crush. The attack is not a prolonged engagement. It is a single decisive action aimed at intercepting the prey before it can initiate an effective response. The surat of this movement is such that the prey's escape reflex, which relies on rapid neural processing and muscular pratikriya, is often outpaced by the physical reality of the encounter. This is where the environment reveals its role as an active participant. In open water, distance is not a protective buffer. It is a variable that can be eliminated through speed. The absence of obstacles allows the predator to convert acceleration directly into closing distance without the need to adjust for pichidgi or navigate around structures. The prey, lacking cover, cannot break line of sight or force the predator into a more complex trajectory. Its only option is to move away, but in a space where direction is unrestricted, the predator can simply follow the most efficient path. The result is a system in which the usual dynamics of predator-prey interactions are inverted. In structured environments, the prey often has the advantage of unpredictability, using the complexity of the habitat to create multiple escape routes and confuse the predator. In open water, this unpredictability is reduced. Movement becomes more linear, more predictable, and therefore more exploitable. The barracuda does not need to anticipate a wide range of Sambhavit escape paths. It needs only to align itself with the most likely trajectory and act before the prey can deviate. This alignment is not purely reactive. The barracuda's sensory systems, particularly its vision, are adapted to detect subtle changes in movement and contrast within the water column. Its eyes are positioned to provide a forward-focused field of view, optimized for tracking targets directly ahead. In clear conditions, this allows the predator to identify and fixate on prey at a distance, maintaining a steady orientation until the moment of attack. The initial phase of the hunt may involve a period of observation, during which the barracuda assesses the movement patterns of potential targets, selecting individuals that are neighborly vulnerable due to isolation, disha, or geti. Yet even this visual advantage is secondary to the fundamental role of the environment. The clarity of open water enhances detection, but it also enhances exposure. The prey is visible not only to the predator, but in a way that leaves little room for ambiguity. There are no shadows to hide in, no sanrachnatmak features to obscure the body. Every movement is exposed against a uniform background, making it easier for the predator to track and intercept. The ecological implications of this exposure extend beyond individual shikar events. In open water systems, the risk of predation influences the behavior and distribution of prey species. Many fish form schools, using collective movement to reduce individual risk and create confusion through synchronized reftar. Others remain close to the edges of structured habitats, venturing into open water only when necessary. These strategies reflect an mahawla to mitigate the dangers posed by predators that thrive in environments of high visibility and low complexity. However, schooling and proximity to structure are not foolproof defenses. The Barracuda's speed allows it to target individuals within a group, isolating them through rapid prevish and withdrawal. Its ability to operate at the boundary between structured and open environments enables it to exploit the transition zones where prey move between safety and exposure. The edge of the reef, the seama between complexity and emptiness, becomes a critical nucta of interaction. This leads to the final reversal. Open water is often perceived as a neutral or even safe environment due to its lack of badai. It offers freedom of movement, the ability to change direction without restriction, and the absence of physical traps. But this very openness removes the tools that prey rely on to survive. Without cover, without nikat of reference, without the ability to break line of sight, the prey is left with only one defense: distance. And against a predator that can eliminate distance in a fraction of a second, that defense becomes insufficient. The Barracuda does not create this vulnerability. It exploits it. Its biology is aligned with a space where speed is unimpeded and visibility is absolute. It does not need to manipulate the environment or construct a trap. The environment itself, empty, unobstructed, exposed, functions as the trap. The prey enters this space seeking freedom, and in doing so, relinquishes the very mechanisms that would allow it to escape. And so the open ocean, vast and seemingly infinite, reveals a hidden constraint. It is not the presence of obstacles that defines danger, but their absence. In a world where nothing blocks movement, nothing also blocks the approach of a predator built to move faster than perception. The emptiness is not a void. It is a medan where exposure replaces concealment, and where the only barrier between life and death is a distance that can vanish in an instant. The chase does not begin with panic. It begins with a pulse that refuses to slow. A small fish breaks formation, reacting to a disturbance it cannot yet define, and accelerates into open water where nothing blocks its path. For a moment, speed feels like control. The muscles contract, the body aligns, and the water yields as it always has. But behind it, something matches the acceleration, not in bursts, not in erratic surges, but in a sustained, unbroken rhythm that does not fade. Seconds pass, then longer, and the distance does not widen. The prey does not slow by choice. It slows because its body begins to fail, its muscles saturating with metabolic byproducts, coordination unraveling as energy reserves deplete. The predator does not need to close the gap immediately. It only needs to remain present. In this environment, survival is not decided by who is faster. It is decided by who can continue. The tuna is engineered for continuation. Its body is a system optimized for sustained hayal-ada, in a medium that offers no resistance beyond fluid drag and no structure to interrupt movement. Unlike many fish that rely on bursts of speed powered by anaerobic muscle fibers, tuna possess a high proportion of aerobic, slow-twitch muscle tissue capable of prolonged contraction without rapid fatigue. This muscle is richly supplied with blood vessels and mitochondria, enabling efficient oxygen utilization and continuous energy production. The result is a predator that does not tire in the way its prey does. It does not rely on a single decisive moment. It creates a sequence of moments that accumulate into inevitability. This endurance is supported by a circulatory system that operates with a degree of efficiency uncommon among fish. Tuna are regional endotherms, capable of maintaining elevated muscle temperatures relative to the surrounding water through a network of countercurrent heat exchangers. Warm blood flowing from active muscles transfers heat to cooler blood, returning from the gills, conserving thermal energy within the body. This elevated temperature enhances muscle ada, increasing contraction speed and power, while also improving enzyme efficiency in metabolic pathways. In a cold or variable ocean environment, this internal stability allows the tuna to maintain high levels of activity where other species would experience reduced performance. The body shape of the tuna reflects this specialization. It is streamlined to minimize drag, with a narrow caudal peduncle and a crescent-shaped tail designed for efficient propulsion. The finlets along the dorsal and ventral surfaces reduce turbulence, smoothing the flow of water and conserving energy during sustained swimming. This is not a body built for maneuverability within complex environments. It is built for linear alhurrica through open space, where efficiency over distance determines success. In the open ocean, this efficiency becomes a decisive advantage. There are no obstacles to break line of sight, no sanrachnatmak features to provide refuge, no pichidigi to disrupt pursuit. The environment is a continuous volume of water where movement can occur in any direction, but where that freedom applies equally to predator and prey. The absence of shelter removes a critical escape mechanism. Prey cannot hide. It cannot force the predator into inefficient paths. Its only option is to outswim the threat, to maintain a speed and trajectory that keeps it beyond reach. This is where the tuna's strategy diverges from that of many other predators. It does not attempt to intercept prey through sudden acceleration or ambush. Instead, it engages in sustained pursuit, maintaining a speed that is just sufficient to keep the prey within range. This speed is often below the maximum capacity of the prey, allowing the prey to initially maintain distance. But the tuna is not concerned with immediate capture. It is concerned with persistence. As the chase continues, the prey's physiology begins to impose limits. High-speed swimming relies on a combination of aerobic and anaerobic metabolism. While aerobic processes can sustain activity over longer periods, they are limited in the rate at which they can produce energy. To achieve maximum speed, prey often rely on anaerobic pathways, which generate energy quickly but produce metabolic byproducts such as lactate. These byproducts accumulate in the muscle, leading to fatigue, kahish in ulkua, and eventual loss of coordination. The prey's nervous system, receiving signals from increasingly compromised muscles, struggles to maintain precise control over movement. The tuna, operating primarily within an aerobic regime, avoids this rapid accumulation of fatigue. Its muscles continue to function efficiently, its coordination remains intact, and its speed does not decline at the same rate. The difference is not immediately visible. Both predator and prey may appear to be moving at similar speeds. But over time, the gap between their physiological states widens. The prey begins to slow, not because it chooses to, but because it can no longer sustain the demands placed upon it. This post-apenna breakdown of performance is the true mechanism of the hunt. The tuna does not need to outpace the prey in a short burst. It needs to outlast it. The environment, by offering no interruptions or refuges, ensures that the chase can continue without bother. There is no place for the prey to pause, no way to reset its physiological state. The water remains open, the path remains clear, and the pursuit remains unbroken. As fatigue sets in, the prey's behavior changes. Movements become less coordinated, turns less precise, reaction time slower. The ability to maintain a straight, efficient trajectory diminishes, increasing the energy cost of swimming and accelerating the decline in performance. The tuna, sensing these changes through both visual and mechanoreceptive cues, adjusts its approach. The final phase of the chase may involve a slight increase in speed, a closing of the distance that has been maintained throughout the pursuit. By this point, the outcome is largely determined. The prey is no longer capable of sustaining the effort required to escape. The strike, when it occurs, is almost anticlimactic compared to the process that precedes it. A short burst of acceleration, a final alignment, and the prey is captured. The dramatic moment of contact is not the defining feature of the hunt. It is the conclusion of a prolonged interaction in which the environment has played a central role. This is where the narrative reveals its inversion. The tuna is often perceived as a fast predator, a creature defined by speed and ulkua. But its true advantage lies not in how quickly it can move, but in how long it can sustain movement. The open ocean, often seen as a neutral or even advantageous environment due to its lack of obstacles, becomes a mechanism that amplifies this advantage. By removing the possibility of refuge, it forces all interactions into a domain where endurance is the primary currency. For prey species, this creates a fundamental constraint. In structured environments, escape can be achieved through a combination of speed, agility, and the use of cover. In open water, agility is less relevant, and cover is absent. Speed alone is insufficient if it cannot be maintained. The prey is forced into a competition of stamina, a domain in which it is often at a disadvantage. This dynamic has broader ecological implications. The presence of endurance-based predators influences the distribution and behavior of prey species in the open ocean. Some may form schools, using collective movement to reduce individual energy expenditure and confuse predators. Others may adopt migratory patterns that minimize exposure during periods of high predation risk. These strategies reflect an attempt to mitigate the pressures imposed by a system where continuous movement is both necessary and costly. Yet the tuna's specialization also introduces vulnerabilities. Its reliance on sustained urchin requires a constant supply of oxygen and energy. It must keep moving to maintain efficient respiration, as water must flow continuously over its gills to facilitate gas exchange. This obligate ram ventilation means that the tuna cannot talk for extended periods without compromising its ability to breathe. Its entire physiology is committed to motion, to a state of postoyanny activity that cannot be easily interrupted. This commitment ties the tuna to the very environment that grants it advantage. It thrives in open water because its body is designed for it, but it is also constrained by that design. In environments where movement is restricted or where oxygen levels are low, its performance may be compromised. The same specialization that allows it to dominate in one context limits its flexibility in others. The final reversal emerges from this dependence. The open ocean, vast and seemingly boundless, is not a space of unlimited freedom. It is a system that enforces a particular kind of interaction, one where endurance determines outcome. The tuna does not impose this rule, it embodies it. Its biology is aligned with a world where movement never stops, where the absence of structure removes al-khayrat and reduces survival to a question of how long one can continue. And so the chase, which begins as a test of speed, becomes something else entirely. It becomes a test of time, of physiological resilience, of the ability to sustain effort in a space that offers no relief. The prey does not lose because it is slower in the first moment. It loses because it cannot remain fast forever. The predator does not win because it is the fastest. It wins because it is the last one still moving at the speed that matters. The circle tightens before the fish understand it is a circle. A school fractures under pressure, bodies flashing silver as they attempt to scatter into open blue. But every direction meets movement. Curving, accelerating, intercepting. The water that moments ago offered infinite escape vectors now channels them inward. The fish compress instinctively, forming a dense sphere, each individual aligning with its neighbor in a reflex that evolved to dilute risk through an added. But dilution fails when the boundary is no longer diffuse. Around them, shapes arc in coordinated sweeps, releasing bursts of sound that strike like physical force. The sphere contracts, not because the fish choose to gather, but because the only remaining space lies at the center. The ocean has not changed its volume. It has changed its geometry. Dolphins do not trap prey through physical barriers. They manufacture constraint from fluid. Their bodies move through water with an efficiency shaped by streamlined form and powerful caudal propulsion, but their true weapon is coordination. Each individual within a pod operates as part of a distributed network, responding to subtle cues in movement, sound, and position. This coordination is not random aggregation. It is structured behavior that emerges from social bonds and cognitive capacity, enabling the group to function as a single dynamic system rather than as isolated predators. The formation of a bait ball begins with detection. Dolphins rely on echolocation, emitting high-frequency clicks that propagate through the water and reflect off objects, returning as detailed acoustic images. These echoes provide information about the size, density, and location of fish schools even when visibility is limited. But echolocation does more than reveal position. It allows dolphins to assess the cohesion of a school, identifying weaknesses in its structure and areas where pressure can be applied most effectively. Once the school is located, the dolphins initiate a pattern of movement that is both deliberate and adaptive. Individuals spread out to encircle the prey, maintaining spacing that prevents gaps large enough for mass escape. This spacing is not fixed. It adjusts in real time as fish attempt to break through. If a portion of the school surges toward a perceived opening, the nearest dolphin accelerates to close the gap, restoring the integrity of the diera. The group behaves like a flexible membrane, responsive and continuous. The fish respond to this encirclement through a well-documented anti-predator behavior, schooling tightly into a sphere. This formation reduces individual risk by presenting a confusing, unified mass to the predator. The rapid, synchronized movements of many bodies can overwhelm the predator's ability to target a single individual. In open water, this strategy is often effective, particularly against solitary hunters. But against coordinated dolphins, it becomes a liability. As the bait ball forms, the dolphins exploit its density. By swimming in tight arcs around the perimeter, they generate hydrodynamic disturbances that reinforce the spherical shape. Water displaced by their bodies creates localized pressure gradients that push the fish inward, discouraging outward hurricane. Simultaneously, dolphins may release streams of bubbles beneath the school, forming vertical curtains that fish are reluctant to cross. These bubbles act not as solid barriers, but as sensory disruptions, interfering with the fish's lateral line detection and creating the illusion of obstruction. Sound also plays a critical role. Dolphins emit bursts of intense acoustic signals that can disorient fish, affecting their ability to maintain coordinated escape patterns. The combination of visual presence, hydrodynamic pressure, and acoustic interference transforms the surrounding water into a functional wall. The ocean remains physically open, but the fish perceive boundaries where none exist. This is the pivotal inversion. Open water, typically the domain of escape, becomes a cage. The dolphins do not construct this cage from material. They construct it from behavior and fluid dynamics. The bait ball shrinks not because it is physically compressed by rigid structures, but because the only viable movement left is inward. Every outward attempt meets resistance, not in the form of collision, but in the form of coordinated interception. As the sphere contracts, the dynamics of predation shift. Dolphins take turns penetrating the bait ball, accelerating into its dense core to seize individual fish before exiting to allow others access. This rotational feeding minimizes interference among group members and maintains the integrity of the enclosure. The coordination required for this behavior reflects advanced social cognition, including role differentiation and temporal sequencing. Each dolphin adjusts its actions based on the movements of others, ensuring that the barrier remains intact even as individuals feed. The fish, meanwhile, experience a progressive reduction in options. Their collective defense strategy, which relies on dilution and confusion, becomes less effective as density increases. At high densities, movement is constrained by the bodies of neighbors, reducing the ability to execute rapid escape maneuvers. The very mechanism that protects them, tight schooling, amplifies their vulnerability when surrounded by coordinated predators. The ecological implications extend beyond the immediate hunt. Bait ball formation represents a high-efficiency feeding event that can significantly impact local fish populations. The ability of dolphins to temporarily restructure open water into a confined system allows them to exploit prey concentrations that would otherwise be difficult to control. This behavior may influence the distribution and movement patterns of schooling fish, which must balance the benefits of aggregation against the risk of coordinated predation. Yet this strategy is not without cost. Coordinated hunting requires energy and communication, and the success of the bait ball depends on maintaining group cohesion. If the pod is too small or poorly synchronized, gaps may form in the encirclement, allowing fish to escape. The dolphin's advantage is contingent on social structure and cognitive capacity. A solitary dolphin cannot replicate the same level of spatial control. There are also predators that exploit the chaos created by bait balls. Seabirds, sharks, and other marine predators are often drawn to these cutnow, capitalizing on the concentration of prey. In some cases, the presence of additional predators can disrupt the dolphin's control, creating openings in the enclosure. This introduces a competitive dimension where the success of the bait ball depends not only on the dolphin's coordination, but also on the broader ecological context. The final reversal emerges from recognizing that the dolphin's greatest strength lies not in physical allure, but in collective behavior. Individually, a dolphin is a capable predator, but it does not possess the raw speed of a tuna or the stealth of a shark. Its power comes from transforming water into structure, from turning fluid space into defined boundaries through synchronized movement and acoustic manipulation. The ocean, vast and unbounded, appears to offer unlimited escape routes. But within the coordinated choreography of a dolphin pod, those routes are systematically closed. The water does not harden into walls, yet it behaves as if it has. The fish are not trapped by nets or a suhur. They are trapped by geometry imposed by Orca. And so the open sea reveals another layer of complexity. It is not only the physical environment that shapes survival, but the behaviors that can temporarily redefine it. The dolphins do not change the ocean's composition, they change its function. For a fleeting moment, in the tightening sphere of a bait ball, the most open environment on Earth becomes a shrinking chamber, and the boundary between freedom and confinement is drawn by predators moving in perfect accord. The ice does not break by accident. A seal rests at the margin of a drifting flow, its body angled toward the water, nostrils flaring in the brittle air, trusting the solidity beneath it more than the black ocean below. Then the surface shudders. A swell rises where no storm blows, a deliberate wall of water traveling in formation, cresting not from wind, but from muscle. The flow tilts. The seal scrambles for balance as the wave crashes across the ice, sweeping a sheet of freezing water over its body. For a fraction of a second, gravity falters. The seal loses contact. It slides. The ocean, once a boundary, becomes a trap door. Beneath the surface, black and white shapes pivot in unison, having created not just a wave, but a mechanism. Orcas do not merely exploit their environment, they redesign it in real time. Their hunting strategies reveal a level of cognitive orchestration that transforms passive surroundings into active instruments. The wave that dislodges the seal is not incidental turbulence. It is the product of synchronized acceleration, multiple bodies aligning side by side to displace a volume of water large enough to generate hydrodynamic force against solid ice. Each individual adjusts speed and depth to maximize the height and impact of the swell, turning collective momentum into a targeted weapon. The physics is precise. Water pushed forward in a coordinated surge carries kinetic energy that transfers to the flow, destabilizing the platform and converting stability into vulnerability. This behavior depends on more than strength. It requires spatial awareness and temporal coordination, cognitive traits underpinned by one of the largest brain-to-body mass ratios among marine predators. Orcas possess highly developed neocortical regions associated with problem-solving, social learning, and communication. The wave wash technique is not instinctive in isolation. It is culturally transmitted within pods, refined across generations. Young individuals observe and participate, learning the subtleties of angle and force, the precise positioning required to generate maximum destabilization without fracturing the ice prematurely. The ice edge itself becomes a manipulated boundary. Seals rely on flows as refuges from aquatic predators, exploiting the interface between solid and liquid as a zone of safety. In typical predator-prey dynamics, refuge availability shapes survival probability. But when predators can alter that refuge, the equation shifts. The orcas convert a protective structure into a liability. The seal's trust in the ice becomes its exposure. This environmental manipulation extends beyond polar seas. Along coastlines, orcas use terrain contours to corner prey, herding fish towards shallows where escape routes narrow. In certain regions, they intentionally strand themselves in brief, calculated lunges onto beaches to seize sea lions resting at the water's edge. The maneuver is perilous. Misjudgment could result in fatal grounding. Yet the risk is mitigated by understanding tidal rhythms, slope gradients, and substrate composition. Intelligence transforms geographic constraints into tactical advantages. The key mechanism underlying these strategies is coordinated role differentiation. Within a pod, individuals assume positions that maximize collective efficiency. Some act as drivers, channeling prey toward designated zones, while others wait at intercept points. This division of labor reflects complex social structure, where communication through vocalizations and body language maintains cohesion during dynamic maneuvers. The acoustic environment becomes an invisible web of signals, allowing individuals to synchronize movements, even when visual contact is obscured by water turbidity or ice fragmentation. The ecological twist emerges when the environment itself appears complicit. Ice, waves, and shoreline contours seem to collaborate with the orcas, amplifying their impact. Yet these elements are not passive allies. They are neutral physical forces, harnessed through cognition. The orcas do not increase the ocean's Shakti. They direct it. By understanding the mechanical properties of water and ice, they create localized disturbances that shift equilibrium in their favor. In Antarctic waters, coordinated wave generation can require repeated attempts. If a single surge fails to dislodge the seal, the pod regroups, adjusting angle and velocity. The iterative nature of this process demonstrates adaptive problem-solving. Each attempt provides feedback, informing the next. Over time, the technique evolves within the pod, becoming more efficient. This is not mere repetition, it is refinement through experience. The seal, meanwhile, faces a reversal of expected hierarchy. On stable ice, it occupies a position of relative security. Its sensory systems are attuned to aquatic threats, scanning for silhouettes below. But when the attack comes from altered water above, its defensive model collapses. The stability of its refuge is undermined by a force it cannot anticipate. The environment that once reduced predation risk becomes the vector of danger. The orca's manipulation of waves reveals an understanding of cumulative force. A single orca lacks the mass to produce a destabilizing swell, but aligned bodies generate additive displacement. This cooperative amplification mirrors principles seen in other ecological systems, where collective action produces effects disproportionate to individual capability. In this context, intelligence coordinates physical output to exceed solitary limits. Such strategies have cascading effects within marine ecosystems. By targeting seals on ice, orcas influence pinniped distribution and behavior, potentially altering foraging patterns and competition dynamics. In coastal systems, their predation can shape fish school structure and habitat use. Environmental manipulation thus extends beyond immediate capture. It reverberates through trophic networks. Yet the narrative reversal deepens further. Orcas are apex predators, but their reliance on learned techniques binds them to social continuity. If pod structures are disrupted through environmental change or human interference, the transmission of hunting knowledge may fragment. Intelligence, their defining advantage, is also a dependency. Without cultural cohesion, specialized behaviors could diminish. In regions where ice cover declines due to climate shifts, the physical platform required for wave washing may become scarce. The technique depends on the presence of flows of sufficient size and thickness. As these conditions change, orcas may adapt, redirecting their manipulative skills to new contexts. Their flexibility lies not in a single method, but in the capacity to reinterpret surroundings as tools. The environment is thus both stage and instrument. Waves are not simply obstacles to navigate. They are shaped and timed. Ice is not merely a boundary. It is a lever. Shorelines are not static edges. They are funnels. Orcas demonstrate that cognition can convert passive landscapes into active mechanisms. In the final moment of a successful hunt, when the seal slips from the ice into waiting jaws, the spectacle is dramatic. But the true revelation lies in the process preceding it. The ocean's surface, seemingly chaotic, has been choreographed. The ice, appearing solid and immutable, has been destabilized through calculated force. The predators have not overpowered their prey solely through strength. They have redefined the terms of engagement by rewriting the environment. This is the essence of their dominance. Intelligence does not replace physical capability. It amplifies it by extending influence beyond the body. The orca's reach encompasses not only muscle and tooth, but wave and terrain. In doing so, it transforms the marine landscape from backdrop into apparatus. The seal's refuge dissolves not because it was weak, but because it was predictable. The orca's power lies in unpredictability, in the capacity to identify and exploit the structural assumptions of their prey. The environment becomes malleable in their presence, shaped by synchronized movement and shared understanding. And so the scene resolves with a profound inversion. The ocean and ice, vast and indifferent, are not passive theaters of survival. In the presence of coordinated intelligence, they become extensions of the predator's intent. The surroundings are not merely used, they are engineered moment by moment. Intelligence, distributed across a social network, turns geography into strategy and water into a weapon. The current accelerates along the reef wall, invisible yet forceful, carrying a blizzard of microscopic life in its grip. Plankton surge in dense ribbons where nutrient-rich water upwells from the deep, transforming a stretch of open sea into a suspended river of food. A shadow materializes within that flow, wings outstretched not in pursuit, but in alignment. The manta ray does not lunge. It holds position. Its vast cephalic fins unfurl and curl forward, sculpting the water into a funnel, directing the living cloud toward an open mouth that seems impossibly wide. The prey does not scatter. It arrives. Manta rays have no interest in speed as a weapon. Their strategy depends on hydrodynamics and geography, on the architecture of currents that concentrate life. Ocean circulation redistributes nutrients through processes such as upwelling, where deeper waters rich in dissolved nitrogen and phosphorus rise toward the sunlit surface. These nutrients fuel phytoplankton blooms, which in turn sustain zooplankton populations. Where currents converge or are deflected by underwater topography, plankton accumulate in high-density corridors. To most predators, these microscopic swarms are too diffuse to exploit efficiently. To a manta ray, they are a buffet arranged by physics. The manta's body is shaped not for chase but for glide. Its pectoral fins span a width that allows it to convert minimal muscular effort into sustained lift, enabling it to hover in place within moving water. By angling its body slightly upward into the current, it achieves a state of dynamic equilibrium where forward motion of water provides continuous ventilation across its gills without the need for active propulsion. This positioning conserves energy while maximizing exposure to incoming prey. The ray's mouth remains open, filtering thousands of liters of seawater each hour through specialized gill rakers that trap plankton while allowing water to pass. The cephalic lobes, often mistaken for ornamental appendages, are critical instruments in this system. When unfurled, they channel water toward the mouth, increasing the efficiency of prey capture. Their curvature modifies flow patterns, reducing turbulence and preventing plankton from being deflected around the head. In this configuration, the manta does not need to pursue individual prey items. It converts a diffuse resource into a concentrated stream, using body geometry to amplify the current's delivery. This feeding mode reveals a fundamental inversion of predation. Instead of seeking out prey through locomotion, the manta positions itself where prey density is highest and allows environmental forces to perform the transport. The ocean becomes a conveyor belt, and the ray becomes a stationary collector. Energy expenditure decreases while intake remains high, a favorable balance in the economy of survival. Currents are not static features. They fluctuate with tides, seasonal changes, and weather patterns. Manta rays respond to these shifts with remarkable spatial memory. Individuals return repeatedly to known feeding sites, often aligning with specific tidal phases when plankton concentration peaks. This suggests cognitive mapping of dynamic environments, where timing is as critical as location. The ray's success depends on anticipating when the conveyor belt will be most productive. As the ray feeds, smaller fish often gather around its body, seeking protection from larger predators. This association illustrates a subtle ecological layering. The manta's presence alters the local risk landscape, creating a temporary refuge within a feeding zone. Yet this refuge is incidental. The ray neither encourages nor discourages these companions. It remains focused on the flow. The ecological twist becomes evident when the abundance of plankton is understood not as random distribution, but as a product of planetary scale systems. Ocean currents are driven by wind patterns, Earth's rotation, and temperature gradients that create density differences in water masses. The manta ray's feeding success is thus linked to processes that operate across entire basins. A change in climate patterns that alters upwelling intensity can reduce plankton blooms, diminishing the productivity of feeding corridors. The ray's harvesting strategy is efficient but contingent on stability in the larger system. Unlike active predators that can switch prey types or hunting grounds rapidly, manta rays are bound to the availability of plankton-rich flows. Their large body size demands substantial intake, making them dependent on areas where microscopic life aggregates predictably. This specialization is both strength and vulnerability. When currents deliver abundance, the ray thrives with minimal exertion. When they falter, the vast mouth captures only diluted sustenance. The sensory systems of the manta assist in locating productive waters. Chemoreception allows detection of subtle changes in water composition associated with plankton density, while vision helps identify surface disturbances that signal feeding activity by other species. In some regions, manta rays engage in coordinated feeding, forming chains or spirals that further concentrate plankton within a confined space. By swimming in a circular pattern, individuals create a vortex that traps prey within the formation, increasing capture efficiency. The current remains the primary driver, but the rays augment it, shaping water movement to their advantage. This collective behavior mirrors, in inverse form, the coordinated hunting of dolphins. Instead of compressing fish into a sphere through active pursuit, mantas manipulate flow to sustain a plume of prey within reach. The environment is not reduced to a cage, but elevated to a delivery system. The ray's body becomes an interface between fluid dynamics and biological necessity. In the broader trophic cascade, plankton form the foundation of marine food webs. By consuming vast quantities, manta rays influence energy transfer upward through the system. Their feeding helps regulate plankton populations, indirectly affecting nutrient cycling and carbon sequestration. The act of harvesting is not merely sustenance, it is participation in global biogeochemical processes. Yet the narrative reverses again when considering human impact. Coastal development and pollution can disrupt plankton blooms, altering the reliability of feeding currents. In areas where water quality declines, plankton composition may shift towards species less nutritious or even harmful. The manta's reliance on environmental transport means it cannot easily compensate for degraded flows. The conveyor belt, once abundant, can become sparse. As the current continues its invisible journey along the reef, the manta maintains its poised alignment, mouth agape, wings steady. There is no chase, no explosive strike, no visible struggle. The drama lies in the unseen, in the physics of moving water, in the microscopic bodies streaming toward filtration structures evolved to capture them. The predator does not dominate through aggression. It dominates through placement. The ocean, vast and restless, appears indifferent to individual need. But within its currents lie corridors of opportunity shaped by wind and gravity. The manta ray reads these corridors with precision, converting planetary motion into personal sustenance. In this system, intelligence manifests not in tool use or coordinated attack, but in the subtle art of positioning. The final inversion is quiet but profound. The largest fish in the ray's path do not flee because they are not targeted. The smallest organisms, drifting without intent, are the true focus. The manta's enormity contrasts with its prey's minuteness, yet the balance is exact. It does not need to outmaneuver or overpower. It needs only to align. In that alignment, the ocean ceases to be empty space. It becomes infrastructure, a moving architecture that sustains life through motion alone. The manta ray does not conquer this architecture. It inhabits it, harvesting the energy of currents that never pause. The conveyor belt flows, and the predator glides within it, a living aperture through which the sea feeds itself. The forest collapses without a sound. Kelp blades that once rose toward the light are severed at their base, drifting upward in torn spirals as spines advance across the seafloor. What appears at first to be scattered movement is in fact coordinated absence. Absence of restraint, absence of predators, absence of the grazing checks that once kept this army in balance. The sea urchins do not rush. They persist. Their tube feet grip rock with hydraulic precision, their Aristotle's lantern mouthparts rasping through holdfasts that anchor entire underwater canopies. In weeks, perhaps months, complexity dissolves into plain stone. A reef that functioned as a vertical city becomes a barren expanse. The transformation is not explosive. It is cumulative. Sea urchins are engineered for subtraction. Their calcareous tests form rigid spheres armored with spines that deter most would-be predators, while beneath that armor lies a feeding apparatus evolved to scrape and shear. The lantern, composed of interlocking calcium carbonate plates and continuously growing teeth, can grind through algal tissue and even bore into soft rock to create refuge pits. This mechanical resilience allows urchins to exploit primary producers with relentless efficiency. Algae and kelp, which convert sunlight and dissolve nutrients into biomass through photosynthesis, form the structural backbone of many coastal ecosystems. When urchins remove them, they do more than feed. They erase architecture. The immediate effect of overgrazing is visual simplification. Kelp forests that once attenuated wave energy and moderated light penetration vanish, exposing the substrate to direct surge and illumination. Without the canopy, microhabitats disappear. Invertebrates that relied on shaded understories lose shelter. Fish species that navigated through vertical fronds for foraging or protection are forced into open water, where predation risk increases. The loss cascades outward through trophic levels, altering interactions among species that never directly encounter the urchin. This phenomenon is often described as a trophic cascade, where the removal or reduction of one species, typically a predator, leads to the proliferation of its prey, which in turn suppresses primary producers. In many regions, declines in urchin predators such as sea otters or certain fish have triggered explosive urchin population growth. Freed from predation pressure, urchins expand both in number and in grazing range. The balance shifts from a forested state to what is known as an urchin barren, a landscape dominated by spines and crustose coralline algae clinging tightly to rock. The ecological twist lies in recognizing that the urchin does not intend destruction. It follows its evolutionary mandate to consume and survive. Yet in doing so, it alters the environmental parameters for countless other organisms. The environment becomes hostile not through toxins or temperature shifts, but through absence of structure. A reef stripped of macroalgae loses vertical relief and the refuge complexity that supports biodiversity. The hostile quality emerges gradually, as recruitment of new kelp is prevented by continued grazing of young sporophytes before they can establish. Sea urchins possess physiological adaptations that enable them to persist in these degraded states. They can survive on limited food resources by lowering metabolic rates, sustaining themselves on detritus or minimal algal films when large plants are scarce. This endurance allows them to maintain dominance even after the primary food source has been largely eliminated. In barren grounds, their density may remain high, forming a self-reinforcing system where any attempt by kelp to recolonize is immediately suppressed. The transformation extends to abiotic processes. Kelp forests play a role in nutrient cycling and carbon sequestration. Their removal reduces local carbon fixation and alters sediment deposition patterns. Without dense vegetation to buffer wave action, coastal erosion may intensify. The urchin, a small echinoderm anchored to stone, indirectly influences geomorphology and atmospheric carbon exchange through its feeding. Yet the narrative inverts once more when predators re-enter the system. In regions where sea otter populations recover, intense predation on urchins can rapidly reduce their numbers, allowing kelp forests to regenerate. The same species that drove simplification becomes the substrate for recovery when its population is curtailed. The environment shifts again. revealing that hostility was contingent, not permanent. Structure returns, fish populations rebound, and biodiversity increases. The barren is not an inevitable endpoint. It is a phase within a dynamic equilibrium. Sea urchins also exhibit behavioral plasticity. In some contexts, they form aggregations at the base of kelp stalks, climbing upward at night to feed and retreating during daylight to avoid predators. This dial pattern reflects sensitivity to risk and resource availability. When predator presence declines, urchins expand their foraging into daylight hours, increasing grazing pressure. Their behavior modulates the intensity of ecosystem transformation. At a finer scale, the scraping action of urchins exposes bare substrate, creating microhabitats for encrusting organisms and influencing larval settlement patterns. Some species benefit from these cleared patches, particularly those adapted to high light and low structural complexity. Thus, while overall biodiversity may decline, certain taxa may temporarily flourish. The urchin reshapes competitive landscapes, favoring species suited to simplified conditions. The key idea crystallizes in the recognition that not all ecosystem engineers build. Some dismantle. Beavers create wetlands through dam construction, while corals construct reefs through calcium carbonate deposition. Sea urchins engineer by removal, converting three-dimensional forests into two-dimensional plains. Their influence is subtle at first, visible only in nibbled fronds and grazed patches. Over time, the cumulative effect redefines habitat identity. The environment, once vibrant and layered, becomes austere. For species unable to adapt to open substrate, relocation or mortality follows. Fish that depended on canopy cover migrate to adjacent habitats. Invertebrates that required kelp attachment points decline. The barren state selects for organisms tolerant of exposure and limited food. It is not merely a change in scenery, it is a shift in survival criteria. Human influences can exacerbate or mitigate these transitions. Overfishing of urchin predators amplifies grazing pressure, while restoration efforts that reintroduce predators can reverse barrens. Climate change adds another dimension, as warming waters may affect both kelp growth rates and urchin metabolism, potentially accelerating shifts. The urchin operates within a web of interacting forces, its impact magnified or restrained by external drivers. The final reversal underscores the fragility of perceived stability. A lush reef can appear permanent, yet its persistence may hinge on a delicate balance between herbivores and predators. When that balance tilts, transformation can unfold silently beneath the waves. The sea urchin, armored and methodical, becomes a catalyst for systemic change. What emerges is not a villain but a reminder of interconnectedness. An organism scarcely larger than a clenched hand can, through collective grazing and absence of checks, redefine an entire coastal ecosystem. It does not wield tools or coordinate hunts. It grazes. And in that grazing, architecture dissolves, niches vanish, and the environment becomes inhospitable to those that once thrived. The reef stripped bare is a testament to incremental force. Each bite removes a fragment of structure. Each fragment lost narrows options for other species. Over time, the cumulative subtraction reshapes community composition and physical form. The sea urchin does not merely inhabit the environment, it sculpts it through erosion. In the end, the spines remain, clustered across stone that once supported forests. The water flows as before, currents indifferent to the absence below. Yet the ecosystem is altered at every level. Some animals adapt, others depart, and the memory of the forest persists only in recollection and potential. The transformation is neither instant nor dramatic in spectacle. It is relentless in consequence.